Do we have volume on that or no? Oh, there it is. That's what I thought. Got to show off some of the animation. It can't just be about the people talking. I'm excited. This is the second roundtable we're doing. This is actually a good one. Not saying that I'm dismissing the plumbers that we did already, because that was actually a really good one, but we'll dismiss the plumbers for now because we want to talk about deck building and outdoor work. And it's Canada, it's springtime, everything's starting. So you guys are starting to base your tans now. This is what's going on, right?
Yeah, everything on fire now.
Strategic tan making, right, is what it is. It's never.
Got to watch out for that farmer's tan.
Yeah, the tan lines. The tan lines. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's good to have, I guess, Doug, you're back, and Scott, you're back, but Adam, you're a newbie. You're first.
You didn't tell me you've been here before.
He's been twice. He's been here.
Yeah, this is number 3.
Yeah, this is the third time. This is Scott's second time, right? So obviously we're going to talk a lot about deck building and the outdoor work and all kinds of things like that. I want to do a quick shout out to Techno Metal Post and Roger. He was nice enough to bring up some maple syrup. Some real maple syrup, right? So it's actually very, very good, but I just told him I can never finish bottle because it's just too fattening, man. So
a lot of calories.
Enjoy. So who do we have here? We got to the left of me, I've got Adam from Royal Innovation, LTD. You're the owner. How many years have you been doing it?
About 12.
12 years. And website is www.royalinnovation.ca. Email to reach them is info@royalinnovation.ca. And the Instagram handle is...
I don't remember by heart.
I think it's Royal_Innovation, isn't it? I think it's
deck builder
or deck. I can't remember exactly, but if you type in Royal, you'll start to find it at that point. Then across from me, I got Scott from Sauvé. Sauvé, the way it's a lot of people. Yeah, that's how it is, right? So you're a carpenter, but this season you're getting a lot of deck building going on.
Oh yeah,
you got a lot of clients reaching out for that.
Yeah, right now I'm in the works of a lot of them. Don't have too many of them booked, but.
And thank you so much for taking the trek. I know you wanted to take kind of a technical day off, but you're coming from Kingston.
No, it's perfect.
So it's a little bit of a drive, but you got a chance to go to Saga as well too?
Yeah,
sure did. Spent a lot of money?
No, all I do is buy blades.
That's all you need to do, man. Stop buying tools. So Sauvé Construction, owner, 3 to 4 years. Website is sauvécreates.com. His email is scott@sauvécreates.com. Sauvé is spelled SAUVE. And then on Facebook, it's Sauvé Creates, FB, right? And then on Instagram is Sauvé Creates. And then to the right of me, in front of me, is Doug Taylor back from Frontiers. How's everybody?
Good.
The family, everybody.
Really good.
Good. Yep. Everyone's busy. It's great. Yep. So Frontiers Design Build, owner, 15 years, www.frontiersdesignbuild.com. Reach him at info@frontiersbuild.com. Sorry, frontiersdesignbuild.com. And on Instagram, it's frontiers_designbuild. Where do you gentlemen want to begin?
Decks?
Well, okay. Well, I mean, we'll get into a bunch of stuff, but I guess the one theme that I want to kind of create for this show is that, and this is something that I learned on, and probably Doug, you felt the same way as well, and I don't know if Adam, you felt that way, is that selling clients on the overall scope of a job instead of having clients stuck on a single line item of a job. How do you guys navigate those waters? Because they'll see a line item and they'll go, why is this one particular expensive? I get your overall price. I like your overall price. But why is this one line item so expensive? And then you have to kind of justify that. How do you guys communicate that with clients?
Can I jump in there?
Sure. Just jump right in, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really starts from the beginning and in steering the conversation to, elements of, lifestyle and function and aesthetic, and just explaining to people that, you're experienced and you know what you're doing, and this is the way we build decks, right?
Don't you feel that you always have to kind of pull out the resume every time that you find a new client to justify your price point?
Yes, sometimes.
Okay.
Yep. I think these days with websites and social media, a lot of people are doing their research beforehand. So often, we don't carry around paper portfolio resumes anymore. I used to have an iPad with photos on it way back in the day. We don't really have to do that anymore. A lot of it's super accessible to most buyers, I would say.
Would it be easier if we actually just attach price tags to everything that we do? Or would that just be kind of shooting ourselves
I think it's too complicated. Too many variants on the way.
You can't price it. There's no set price in construction, so it's like too difficult. But that's what clients, they want to walk into a retail store and go, okay, $9.99, I'll buy that.
Right.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I've been in Muskoka this weekend.
Okay.
A customer.
Deck building country.
Yeah. Beautiful cottage on the lake. 6,000 square feet of Epay deck. 6,000.
Ouch.
Yeah. Getting there, the customer called me. He hired a local company, no names. They installed the entire deck with the clips. They didn't drill and put it in the Epay. They just put it in the joist. 6,000 square feet of deck.
Pop, 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 pop.
Everything. 1.25 inch gap. Everywhere. And now everything, we're going to tear it down and reinstall it. Yeah, man.
You can repurpose all the wood.
85%, 90%, because we're going to do some nice dividers. They do everything with butt joints. And
So I'm curious about the person who did it the first time. They just didn't know, or they just didn't care?
they never dealt with Epay. They didn't work with a single lever to work it out. They claim the Epay is wrong and twisted. It's a shame that somebody start with a 10 by 10 deck. Learn how to work with Epay. Seal the edges, joist tape, all the basics. And it's like, to take a job like that when you have no idea what you're doing, that's a shame.
It's
and
too
then
challenging.
people understand the price difference. You just spoke about the prices, and so we price low. They wanted to take it.
Didn't know any better.
Yeah, and
But
then
now you come
pay
in
double.
and you have to charge more to replace.
You need to remove everything,
Yeah.
number everything, put it in the right order. Start to figure out how you're going to build it right so you can use the most of the material without any cutoffs and stuff. So it's all the railing, frameless glass railing, all around need to be removed.
It's all finished now, or you guys are still working
Yeah,
on
yeah.
it? It's all-
No, we didn't start it yet. I just been there to see the job.
Oh, just to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Wow. What about you, Scott? How do you navigate that line item versus the overall budget of something that when you're submitting?
If they're going to debate a line item on one of my jobs, it's usually an item that's pretty important. I'll tell them as much as I can about that item and why it is what it is. I haven't had too much problem. I have a problem with my fasteners. It's really the only thing that I have a problem with my decks, because I only use certain fasteners, and they are like premium expensive. And I just explained to the clients, they're premium fasteners, but these are the fasteners that I use for my brand, and that's what I use. So if you're not comfortable with me using these fasteners, like, that's just not Sauvé Construction. Like, I use a certain fastener, and that's just, if I'm building your deck, then I'm going to use what I supply. I haven't had too much kickback with any line item, except for my fasteners, which I just explained why I use them.
Yeah.
And joist tape. I'm having a real hard time getting
Selling.
clients to say okay for the waterproofing. And I've had advice where contractors, it's just like, I'm doing the waterproofing and that's it. But it might be the difference between me getting the job and me not getting the job with the joist tape and waterproofing. So I usually put it in there as a line item, like optional, and almost every single time it gets declined. And it makes me upset, because especially with the beams, they separate and it collects a lot of stuff in there, pine needles and dirt.
Everything.
And stuff like that. So personally, from my experience, the only problem I have with any line items would be the fasteners and the joist tape.
See, I find it's a bit of an art in how you break down your line items, because, Scott, when you're saying you break that out as optional, I think that's the wrong move for you, because clearly you want
I want to
do
use
that.
it, yeah.
You want quality, you want durability, longevity. That's not an option for you. So why are you giving it to your client? Yeah. Right?
Because
So-
then it's going to drive up the price per square foot. And
Well,
when they compare, they
a little
don't
bit.
compare apple to apple.
But a lot of these line items that might get chopped down. I mean, like, I think if somebody's going to buy a $30,000 deck, they're going to buy a $35,000 deck. It depends on where you steer the conversation.
It's a very good point. It's true. If you're already at that price point,
Yep.
and they've already looked at you and they already know what caliber of work you offer,
Yep.
I think that selling them on an extra 5 or whatever, 2,000, could be even $7,000
Because
more.
that deck is being sold on price at that point, as
Yes.
opposed to, what is the finished product? What do they want? What are you as a builder, right? Again, they're gonna, if they're gonna pay $50,000 for a deck, they'll pay $55,000.
I'm curious from all you guys, When was the first deck that you built? And when I say deck, I guess the principles of deck building. So not necessarily for a client, could have been for a family member or something like that. But when did you guys actually build a joist system, hangers, and then put some sort of material on top of it and created a deck surface? How far back are we going here?
I would say about 20 years ago,
Okay.
but it was back home.
Okay.
We used
Where's back home?
Israel.
Okay.
Over there, we don't do foundation. We don't dig in the ground.
Just float on top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we use 2x4 as a framing.
As the joist or as the
Yeah.
decking?
No.
As the joist?
Yeah.
On its end or flat?
No. Standing.
Really? 2x4?
Yeah.
Fir? No, it's not Douglas fir.
No, over there is a pine.
Yeah, it's pine.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago. Doug, what's yours?
Yeah, I mean, we did a couple small ones the first couple of years in business. So 14, 15 years ago.
And Scott?
Yeah, I'm about 10 for my dad.
Okay. And have you guys changed dramatically? I know that you mentioned talking about and I'm the same way too.
Yeah.
I'm particular about tape, fasteners, material. Like we'll get into it, but I mean, have you guys educated yourselves through experience?
100%.
So much.
Right?
100%.
So much.
Yeah, and I mean the deck building industry is a perfect industry for that constant year over year evolution because there's so many new products. You know, it's pretty big on social media where you can watch other guys where they've learned some little tip or trick and you catch that and implement it in your next one. But it's an innovative industry for sure. So if you're not evolving and you're still doing what the industry was doing 20 years ago, then you got your blinders on.
But I mean, decks in theory, I mean, when clients buy a deck, what's the realistic outcome on timeline wise? Like, I mean, we know that certain decking surface materials depending on how harsh it is in what part of Canada or whatever, the extremes of the weather, it lasts so many years, but you have to maintain it, right? And we'll get into maintenance as well. But technically speaking, that substructure, that framing should last as long as a house, right?
Yeah, but as you know, the material of today and 20 years ago is a different story, man.
It is.
I
Completely.
took apart last week a 35 years old deck.
And the
framing,
joist, everything was nice.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And on the other hand, you can take apart a 5 years old deck and it's like all garbage. So
Yep.
they used to use the core of the lumber. Today they're using the sap, everything. They don't care just to make money, right?
They're using the sawdust of the lumber.
2x4 used to be 2x4
Yeah.
in old time.
It's all changed now.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like washing machines, they're just designed to fail. Is at that point? That's what we're looking at here?
I think there's a lot of factors at play. There's, these days we're protecting our structure with tapes.
Yeah.
That hasn't been around forever. If I had to think about the decks that we've pulled apart that were really bad, often they're low to the ground and have skirting. So I think breathability is a huge thing for decks. Having that airflow through the structure when people really totally close them in, box them in, they're not thinking about that and how to kind of ward off moisture issues and drying issues. I think that can spell problems.
I've had clients
it's a
like that
mixed
before.
bag.
They've asked me to build right on grade.
Yeah.
And you have the conversation.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm sorry, but this is not going to last. Like wood right next to grade, wicking is just going to happen. You're going to eat away at that lumber.
Yep. Whether it's north facing or south
Doesn't
facing off
matter
the
at that
house.
point. Doesn't matter, yeah.
Whether it's getting dried off by the sun or whether it's always in the shade. There's so many factors. It's case by case basis.
So what are some of the misconceptions about deck building when it comes to clients and you're talking to them, what they think a deck is and what you guys know as a professional a deck is?
I would say that my clients they have been overwhelmingly really excited with the finished result of all my decks that I've built because it's so simple. I do picture frames on every deck.
Yep.
And for some reason, it still blows clients away. I think they're not expecting their deck to be as nice as I ended up making it, and I don't know why that is, but that I don't know. Yeah, I've had a really good response to the decks that I built, it's probably just because of the little things I do, the little chamfers, and I make sure that I sand, like every cut that I make, it gets sanded, so I can close off those pores. That's pretty much it for me. I've had a pretty good experience with.
I guess you get a lot of clients that are just wanting to move everything outside, and they just automatically assume there's a roof overhead and it's protecting the deck, but that's not the case, right? But they're always asking for more and more things to go outside and just an extension of the house, right? So that's where I'm trying to get with the misconception about what clients think is deck world and what you guys know is deck world.
Definitely a misconception with posts and beams and how far you can span, that's for sure. Like if a client just wants an extra 4 feet, like that really changes your spans, which is going to increase beams and posts and piers. Yeah. And because I just do concrete, like that's huge labor. Yeah. So I guess that's a better answer. Adding beams is definitely something that usually the client never understands, like how far you can span things out.
And Doug, you were going to say?
Yeah, I run into a lot of misconceptions on the cladding choices, the material choices, because what I find is like a lot of clients still have the conception of like when composites and PVCs first came out, there was a lot of issues with them back in the day. So people still have that. Like say some client had a deck built 20, 30 years ago and they went with a composite and it was a nightmare. So when we go and we say, hey, what about a PVC option, because maybe they're older and want durability, or they're, an executive and they're super, super busy and they don't want to take care of like a natural wood of some sort. There's like warning bells that go off in their head. They're like, oh, I don't, that plastic stuff, like it looks cheap and, it's going to fall apart. And so there's a lot of misconceptions there.
Just to collect a lot of mold.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
What percentage are you doing?
It's going to fade.
I mean, I'm assuming most clients are asking for man-made material for decking, right? These days.
You need to educate them about it, but
yeah. But there's a wide range, like anything that's in the market right now. There's good, better, and terrible, whatever, right? But I mean, clients are still asking for wood. Are we getting that, or is that the maintenance?
I'm getting a lot of requests for quote both.
Okay.
And then you need to give them like a pressure treated and composite material.
They want to see the price difference at that point?
Yeah.
I find when they're like really budget driven, they're asking for the PT or the cedar.
Okay.
You get some clients that are environmentally aware or educated. They're asking for some like the thermally modified stuff.
Yeah. Just jacks up the price.
It does. But there's a space for it, for sure. The largest part of the market right now is the PVCs and composites, for sure.
Every deck that I look at, they always ask for composite first, and then either they'll say, can you price it in pressure treated as well? Or I'll just say, I'm going to send you both prices. So it's usually always composite. They usually come to me for composite, and then I send them the composite price and then the pressure treated price.
Is that a standard for all you guys? It's like they're giving you, they're requesting options here at this point, right? I want to see what the composite, I want to see what the PT, I want to see what the high-end thermally modified lumber is. I want to see what Epay is. I want to like that. That's
and I want aluminum railing and glass railing and 20 by 12 and 20 by 14.
So many options, right? Like how do you guys justify that? Because that's a lot of time being spent for you guys to price it out, and it's a commodity, so things change. Outside of I guess the composite really didn't fluctuate that much, did it? Over the years, the last few years. I know wood went through the roof.
Yep.
It's back down.
Composite and PVC as well.
It went up as well too, isn't it?
Last year, one of the brands 3 times raised the price during the season.
I think that's just taking advantage of profits. That's what that was, but we won't get into that world.
Be sure it's not going to go down.
It won't go down because it's gone up. Once you climb the mountain, you got to stay up there and just watch the view, right? That's all it is. Yeah. Watch the dollar signs in the clouds. And I want to figure out how you guys navigate, because the thing is, it's not like you guys are plumbers or electricians, or I'm not dismissing them, but they've got a grocery list. So you want a sink, you want a faucet, you want you guys want a deck. There's 1,000 things attached to it, 1,000 options.
So we might be a bit different because we're design build.
Okay.
And that we're charging our clients for pre-construction services. So we're going through and we're doing conceptual designs, the permit plans, and we're I think during that journey we're educating them about the options, and they're really kind of narrowing down to like an ideal material choice for whatever reason. So we end up pricing one thing, and then it's only at which point where there's massive sticker shock and they're like, okay, we're going to need to investigate cedar or what have you to bring the price point down, that we're investigating that, as opposed to like just laying all the prices out on the table. Because as you said, it's a lot of work to price 4 or 5 different types of materials.
It's kind of, okay, I always try to level the playing field when it comes to construction. Right. So when I say that, I mean, if you had the same client that was deck shopping and deck inquiring about a builder coming in, and they're hardwood flooring shopping, they're walking into a showroom and they're getting samples down on the floor and they're taking their shoes off and they're walking on it barefoot and they're experiencing as best as they possibly can. The same with broadloom, same with tile, same with everything. They're trying to feel, touch, experience. But when it comes to decking, it's like a quick decision to just go the cheaper option, even though you're going to probably be walking on this barefoot more than you will be walking in your own home barefoot. So why are you taking those senses out of the equation when it comes to deck building? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I keep a select set of samples in my truck for that purpose, to let people see it and touch it
so
and
that you
feel
can feel it, right?
Yep.
And you can experience it and then justify, okay, well, maybe we should pay that extra money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that, guys?
No, I'm doing the same. We always have the
Because that's how you sell your business, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But people, when they say composite, there is so many brands, so many levels in each brand. It's like endless. So you need to educate them more. Some of the brands, the lower grade of the composite are, they're not coming with plugs, matching plugs. So you have to put a surface trim screw, which is visible. Some of them very scratchable and slippery. So it's important that you're going to bring your own knowledge to the customer.
But that's a balancing act too, because now you have a client that's talking to you and you have to factor in your experience because you guys have been doing this for a while. So all of a sudden, it almost seems like they dismiss that experience part of it. You've gone down that road. You've done this work. You've experienced it. We've all built things that clients were requesting, whether it was driven by the cost or just by trends or by this is what they wanted. And you knew in the back of your head, this is going to fail. This has got an expiration date on it. It's going to fail. I don't want you calling me back and being upset at me, even though I educated you and I told you.
Especially when it's exposed to the elements. Yeah.
We keep on talking about 4 seasons. This is Canada. Most of the northern side of the U.S. goes through the extreme that we go through as well too, right? Yep. So we get extreme heats, and they'll affect composite. They won't affect wood as much, but the winter, and then also how you shovel it, and that brings up the maintenance.
Definitely affects the railings. That's for sure.
Yeah. So there's a lot of factor in. That's where that whole selling thing is back and forth with the clients. But it's just I find it hard to understand a client wanting to reduce the price. Not on good intel. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's just like, how do you guys navigate? How do you guys sell that so that you can get the good intel back in there and get them to understand?
I find reducing the noise helps for them. Like we basically we use one product line. We use one PVC supplier, and then we'll go natural wood. So like reducing the options, I think helps them be decisive. I think there's multiple benefits there. It's you're helping the client make decisions by basically giving them a pre-vetted package that can then be kind of customized based on their needs. And I think there's a level of confidence in that they're trusting you that this is a pre-vetted package. We've used these materials for some years. We've never had issues with them. So there's the sellability of that, but then also the performance of that too. Our guys get to know those products really, really well. So the durability and longevity and quality of the deck continues to be top notch because we're not using a new deck board every single deck and having to figure it out, the nuances of that specific product.
But you're also getting product knowledge from that actual manufacturer that's supporting you. If there's ever an issue whatsoever, then you guys get that pushed to the front of the line so you can take care of and make your client happy, right? Mm-hmm. That's you guys running a business. Right. I'm curious, just for my own sake, if you guys were building your own personal deck, are you guys going composite? You guys going natural product?
I went PVC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott?
I'm just doing wood just because that's just what I love. But I know what's going to happen to it.
But you'll maintain it.
Yeah, sure.
You'll fight that battle.
Yeah.
And Doug?
I did PVC on my current house.
Okay.
I would consider thermally modified for my next house, but I do love the PVC.
Really, huh?
Yeah.
darker tone did you go?
No, I went with a light gray.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just you like it primarily for the durability. Same with you, Adam. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay? And then fastener wise, I'm curious, hidden or face?
No, always hidden.
Hidden. Yep.
Okay. No plugs.
On the picture frame and the first and last board, yeah, but
Yeah.
it steps.
Okay. And then joist wise, everyone's always asking for PT these days, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, I mean, it just the tape.
Yeah, mine's getting taped.
But just, yeah, you're taping it, but just like price-wise, if you're selling to a client, you're just including it in the price. That's all it is, right?
Yeah, we don't even tell our clients that we're going to tape it. We just do it.
I should probably stop.
Yeah.
It's a good point. It makes a lot of sense, right? I'm curious about trends. Where are the clients getting their ideas that are presenting to you guys? Which, in reality, I think should be the other way around. But
About material selection or?
about what they want to build, what's cool, what's talking, what's everybody. I get, like glass railing, aluminum railings have been a big thing for now. I don't even think anybody's doing pickets anymore.
They do with aluminum, like aluminum pickets.
Yeah, but
The
nobody's
buckets.
doing a 2x2 PT
No,
or
no.
2x2 cedar anymore. I think
No.
that's gone with the A-track, right? Like it's done. So it's just like, what are clients asking for these days? Techno Metal Post, an alternative to traditional foundations. For over 30 years, Techno Metal Post's vision and goal has been to revolutionize the construction industry. And today, they are proud to say they have achieved this. Their dreams drove them to design, innovate, and build reliable products, develop leading-edge installation equipment, as well as train and certify professional installers just like you. Techno Metal Post products are used throughout the world. They do the research, the evidence is there, and testimonials have shown that our helical piles have become a standard in the building industry. Many customers and contractors have already adopted our technology, and for them, it would be impractical to do it any differently. Reach out to them at www.technometalpost.com for your next project.
Not much. They coming with the name. There is some marketing company that spends a lot of money on marketing. Some of the composite, so they know one brand out there in Home Depot, and that's the brand they know. So they asking to use that brand. I always try to teach them like the benefits and the downsides of that material, and pulling them to the direction that I think is right for them. And the colors selection, they want to go black deck. So that's gonna be hot. That's gonna be hot, man. So we're playing around with lighter inside, darker picture frame, black railing you can go with, so you can play with the colors.
Do you start talking pergola if it's a black deck, so you can at least dimple the sun?
Yeah, but then it's doubling the price, and we need to feel first of all what's the budget that we're talking about and where we're going with it. A lot of people want multi-tier deck, and it's very nice looking, but not practical as much. So I try to convince them to go maybe 2 tiers or one big deck with 1 tier, so you can play around with the furnitures, with the cooking area, dining area, sitting area, lounging, and that's it.
I'd say like a minimal approach from like a design approach, like a minimalist. I think people are starting to stray away from the crazy backyards where there's all kinds of tiers and fire pits and all this kind of stuff going on, and a little more of that contemporary look.
Is it just too much?
I think for a lot of people.
Okay.
But then, again, back to the people that are a little bit more mindful of sustainability these days, that we are getting asked about like natural woods and thermally modified stuff more and more frequently.
Why do you think that is? They just like the look and feel of it versus PVC?
No, I think it's the people being more green conscious in general in their lives. It's the Tesla cars, it's the net zero homes, it's the whatever you want to lump into that bucket. People are looking at, when they're doing projects, whether it's a deck, a patio, a pool, they're asking some more of those questions. And it's not a huge amount of them. I would say that it's like gone from like never been asked to maybe like 10% of people 10%. Are asking.
But then you guys are probably following that up with a maintenance schedule. Like you're going to make suggestions on how often it should be oiled, how often it should be cleaned, how often, or first of all, how it can be cleared for snow, all kinds of things like that, right? But also brings up the point that everybody's bringing out outdoor kitchens and no different than a kitchen itself, and you got wear and tear going on at the cooking station, right? So you might have splatter from oils and foods and things like that, and so you got to factor all that in. And then there's also high heels if everybody's outside and they're dressed up, and
Yep.
there's a bunch of things that's what I mean. It's endless. It's almost like you got to give them a phone book of deck building, deck
Yep.
maintaining, deck world lifestyle, right? And for them to understand it, but they're going to be intimidated by that, right?
Yeah, I think it's too complicated for them to observe everything.
They can't grasp it, huh? I want to ask you, gentlemen, what's the ideal size? Because we talked about different tiers decks, and I totally agree with you. You get clients that'll put 15 different tiers, and all of a sudden you've got like a kiddies table here, and you got a barbecue there, and you've got a planter here, and it's like you're not maximizing the space properly for use of the space. You would never do this inside your house. You would never put a small room here and a closet here and all this other stuff. A good sized table for, let's say, a family of 6. How big should that deck be around that table? How much space should you give yourself?
20 by 16, something like that.
I agree with you. It's a good size at that point.
Yeah.
It's comfortable enough to pull the chairs out. It's comfortable for someone to walk behind the chairs, get to another station of the table, and then walk around, right? But then you're already selling a client 20 by 16 deck to begin with. That's just your eating area, not including your sitting area, not including your cooking area.
I always tell my clients like a functional space is 15 by 15. Like you can use that for multiple things, not at the same time. Like you could have a lounge set there or a dining table set there or whatever.
That's kind of funny. This studio is 14 by 15.
Right, there you go.
Right, and
Yep.
this is
And
a
it feels like a
7 foot by
comfortable
7
space,
foot table.
right.
Yeah, so it's comfortable for the
Yep.
purpose of it. Yeah,
It's one beam.
So yeah, exactly. So a 16 by 20 is a pretty common deck size, and it's great deck size because then you got that extra width for like, the thoroughfare out from the back doors out onto the lawn,
Yeah.
or a spot to put the barbecue or whatever off to the side.
Scott, any
I'm
thoughts?
just a one beamer. I just did a 15 beam deck. So
15 beam.
yeah, it was either 15 or 14. It's 15 piers and 14 or 15 beams. Wow. It's going around the pool. Is the one going around the pool. 5 ply 2 by 12s, all by myself.
Wow.
It took me a long time.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's good.
What are some of the crazy decks you guys? And I'll just give you guys like way back in my youth. I had a friend of mine. He knew that I could swing a hammer, but this is before I got into the business. And he put a kidney-shaped pool in his backyard. Didn't want any grass, and he's like, "Listen, man, can you build me a deck around the pool?" So I said, "Sure, great. I got an idea. I'll do a fan deck around the whole kidney." I was there the whole summer. Just like, it was insane. It was piece by piece, wedge cut every deck board. I have no idea what it looks like. He got a divorce, and so she probably got the house and got the pool and everything. But it took a while. So is there some craziness that you guys have built for clients?
A lot of big ones, but
When you say a big deck, what do you mean by that? If you're telling me an average deck is 16 by 20, what's a big deck for you?
about 800 square feet.
Okay.
Big enough.
That's good. That's a
Yeah.
good size.
6,000. Holy.
Yeah.
6,000 is a unique, yeah, but 800, 600, those are big decks.
What do you...
Yeah, we've done a couple decent sized ones. Nothing crazy. But yeah, I mean, I guess we haven't done a lot of backyards where like the deck is the entire backyard. Like often for us, it's more of a feature. So we're often doing like, a pool, a patio, and a deck. So yeah, like a lot of the 15 by 30 type sizes.
You guys are navigating the whole backyard experience,
Yeah.
right? So you're factoring a deck,
Yep.
possibly a pool,
Yep.
an
Built-in
eating
hot
area,
tubs,
hot tubs,
that type of thing.
sheds, cabanas.
Yep. We
Things
do
like
a lot
that.
of like pergolas and roof
Pergolas,
structures.
Yeah.
Phantom screens coming down, that type of stuff, outdoor kitchens. So the deck ends up being like a part of the backyard as opposed to the backyard.
Are we getting now into more artificial heated surfaces, or not surfaces, areas, so then we don't have to deal with propane tank heaters, so we can actually stay longer outside? Our clients starting to ask for direct gas units and things like that?
A little bit.
Yeah.
We do a decent amount of gas fireplaces and wood burning fireplaces as well.
Scott, you
Not from my clients, but my best friends, they have natural gas. They have a covered deck. It's shiplap ceiling, and then they have like a heater
Infrared.
behind their couch. Yeah, that's it.
Wow. Adam?
Yeah, a lot of infrared. We don't do any wood burning fire pit.
You're not
Our
allowed.
area, yeah.
It's not. Well,
Unless
I guess
you're
the
in the-
building code, like you got to be a certain distance away from your actual home structure.
Some neighborhood you're not allowed at all,
Really, huh?
unless you're cooking something. So
You
when,
could just hop
when
the
I'm
fence.
doing a fire, I always have a hot dog with me in case.
Isn't that a funny rule? How if you're cooking something,
Yeah.
you're allowed to have an open flame, but if you're just relaxing there and enjoying Mother Nature's TV set,
No.
you're not allowed to do that.
It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, and that brings me up another point that I want to discuss is the whole permit process. I find that the building, I guess, where you are, they're a little tough on us, no?
Oh yeah.
When it comes to deck building, because it is a structural component, I guess, but there's a lot of rules that I disagree with, Matt. Like when it comes to deck building. Anything you guys want to share?
Nothing specific. It's just all the, especially the zoning,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
which
just
is
gonna say
like in the same city. You have different 6 areas with different zoning, with different setbacks, and you're not allowed to build if it's above 1.2 meter. You're not allowed to go over 6 feet from the house, and they mixing the meter with the inches always in the
Yeah, they do.
cities. Always. Make a decision. It took me a couple of years to transform from meters to inches when I came here.
And now you're going back.
And I forgot it already.
What do you guys come across with inspectors and I guess
Yeah,
the building?
it's the semantics that kill me. It's like we could build a stone patio in this spot because patios are permitted, but we can't build a deck. You know what I mean? Because there's setbacks and it's a structure, whatever. Or sometimes we'll have a situation where it's you want to put in like a helical pile because there's some sort of change or issue, and you can get engineering and conformity reports with those guys.
Yeah.
And then they'll ask you, there's been a change to the permit application. You need to reapply, pay a revision fee, give us new drawings,
Really?
Yeah.
and go through the whole process again, just because you substituted a helical pile for a concrete pier or something.
Most of the time they approve it, but sometimes
Yeah.
they being really
Is that
tough
just
with it.
them not being aware of other options out there that we can
No,
use?
because it depends on the people. I find because a lot of the times if you give them the engineering or the revised drawings, it's no questions asked. But it's again when they go down and they push it further and say, okay, well there's revision fees, and we need you to resubmit and just make it a mountain out of a molehill. That tends to happen sometimes.
And meanwhile, you guys are at Mother Nature's mercy, and you guys are scheduling crews to come in
Yep.
to take advantage of whatever sunny days we do have, and then you have to deal with this
Yep.
paperwork.
Yep. Because somebody in the office has to deal with that. You got to pay the fee.
Of course.
There could be delays on the job site. So it's just unnecessary.
I waited 4 months to build that big deck around the pool for my
Wow.
design, just for the designer. 4 months. And
So the whole season gone.
yeah, I told them August 1st start, and I started right after Thanksgiving. But I was really lucky. I think the building inspector makes a huge difference too.
Oh yeah.
I had a building inspector that used to have his own home building company,
Yeah.
and he used to be a framer. And he didn't even bring a tape measure out. He came three times to my deck, and he didn't measure. He didn't even have a tape measure, not once. And I had 14 or 15 beams, so I was really lucky. But the building inspector makes a huge difference.
Do you guys see that as well? Same thing?
Yeah. There is the newbies that coming, and that's okay.
The ones that want to prove something.
They're learning also on the way they learn.
Everybody in
right?
construction learns every
Yeah.
single day. We're all on the same team.
But sometimes you need to make that work as well,
I'll take a newbie over an old crusty guy any day.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I find with the newbies, you're always saying, "Okay, don't worry. Can I speak to your supervisor?"
Sometimes.
That statement comes up, and then that just kind of puts the newbie up against a wall, like, "How dare you?"
Yep.
The new ones are the 5-ply 2x12. That's what they are.
Really?
Yeah, that's insane. And then she spec'd out 5-ply 2x12s sitting on a 6x6 post, and 3 beams sitting on that post. And I need 3.5-inch bearing for every ply of the beam.
Let's talk some fun stuff. How much more challenging does it get when you guys are doing second story decks? And you're having to deal with a whole new set of rules there, right? Or is it
From the permitting standpoint or the construction standpoint?
both? Because I guess permitting, that it's now a different set of rules, and now you've got, I guess, structural to deal with.
Yep.
And then you've got a staircase that has to come down, and then you also have, I guess, the railings or fencing or privacy.
I find it's not that big of a deal.
not that big of a deal.
No.
Like I always do 42-inch high railings,
Okay.
regardless, and cross bracing on the
Yeah,
posts.
up to 8-9 feet, I think is the same story. When you're getting to the 12 feet, 10 feet, 11 feet, that's a little bit more challenging.
Do we really need railings on a 2-foot high deck from grade? I know the OBC says we need them,
Yeah, but
but do we really need them?
babies, kids, I didn't put on mine.
How many times
But
did you
don't
fall?
tell the
how, many
city
times,
where I live.
how many times did
So
you
here-
fall as
here
a
it
kid?
is, here it is.
I fell lots of times as a kid. It just
Yeah.
makes you tougher. It makes
So
you
last
stronger.
Saturday we were barbecuing, and I have a couch right on the edge of the deck,
Okay.
and I have a 3 years old, and he just lean on the couch, and I.
Is he okay?
Yeah. So again, depends what you. And I don't put railing, right? It's not really necessary. So
The couch is a railing. It's a cushion.
yeah,
Nice and soft.
that's how you learn.
That's the world we live in, though, right? Like, I mean, you got to have rules. Because, like, when I think of this conversation, I think of like pools and the hassle we get with pools and pool enclosures, and especially like on a rural property where there's really no neighbors. And I think, like, what's the difference between this pool on a rural property and like the stormwater ponds that are being built in developments? Like,
It's a valid
They're-
argument.
stormwater pond is way more dangerous
Yes.
to the public,
Yes.
right? So, it's thing with railings on decks, it's like, do you really need one on that 24-inch deck? Not often. In some cases, certainly you do. I've tried to design them out as much as I can with, wraparound steps and
Yeah. So you can get it kind of around that
Yep.
at that point, right?
design it in so that there's going to be furniture backing onto that railing or whatever. But there's a lot of semantics for sure.
I
For
wanted
me,
to
what's
ask,
killing me the most is the climbable privacy walls and stuff. I installed a few aluminum privacy walls with 1/4-inch gap in between.
but these were prefabricated privacy walls that you
Yeah.
installed.
Yeah.
So they've met the standards to be sold as a product,
Yeah,
but then they're not meeting the standards for the deck building process.
for the inspector. So he claimed a kid can put his fingers and somehow climb 6 feet,
And then fall.
I've had
Yeah.
that exact same situation as well.
and it's
Yeah.
like.
So how did you guys
unbelievable.
resolve that?
Fighting with them and explaining them. Sometimes it's work, sometimes not. But when it's a wire railing with 4-inch gap in between, 42-inch high, I understand. We can talk about it. But a 6 foot with a 1/4-inch gap, 3/8, I don't know what was it. Unbelievable.
I thought wire railing were illegal in Ontario.
Vertical, not horizontal.
Horizontal is not illegal.
Climbable. Everything.
but a
horizontal.
vertical, you could still fit a baby's head in between and get strangled.
Not if it's 90 mil.
Just saying, right?
I looked at a job last spring, and the guy said, my railing going down to he lived on the water, and he said, I just had a brand new railing installed. It's exterior. Can you come take a look? I got referred to you, and I know you do a lot of decks. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll be right there. And I went down there, and it was the hog wire like that you see in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you thought this was going to pass?
Wow.
And he's like, yeah, inspector doesn't like it. But I was so shocked to actually see it in Canada because I see it on Pinterest all the time. And it sucks because it was installed really good too. So then I had to grab my clippers, and all of it went out.
Wow.
Yeah.
We did one where it was actually we do quite a few of these where they're horizontal rough cut 2x12s
Okay.
for fences,
Okay.
and very similar situation where the inspector came by and he's like, I can fit my pinky in the gap so a kid can climb this. And I was like, okay, like,
So what if you've got a
find me a
tiny
kid.
pinky? I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like how
It's ridiculous. Like, no kid could climb this. And I mean, if they can climb that, they could dig a hole under it, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, we ended up screwing plywood to the back of this fence to
Just to pass the permit.
eliminate the gaps,
Oh my God.
just to pass.
and then take it off. And
Yeah.
That's like the stringers for the stairs. They want closed stringer.
Right.
I've had the first time it happened was like 2016. my deck failed because I didn't have a closed stringer on the stairs. So there's that little triangle because the railing.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that little, and that was where the baby head was going to go. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll have to, do a closed stringer. My buddy's like, just screw on triangles. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that. So, you screw on the triangles, it passes, and then you take them off. And my railing failed because I had 2x6 top rail going up my stairs.
Yeah.
And it failed because
It's too wide
Yeah, it's too wide.
to grab. I know.
guess so.
I've
was
had that
still
conversation
a
before.
bit shocked by that one.
I know. An elderly person can't grab it, can't open up their hand to grab it.
Yeah. I'm going to buy one of those baby dummies, and I'll just carry it around for my final walk through the deck and just make sure it doesn't go in anywhere.
Make sure it has a 4-inch head.
Well, it's kind of funny that you guys jump all these hoops to please the OBC and you're building something brand new, but the moment that it gets passed, then a homeowner could modify the hell out of it and make it completely dangerous in their eyes, and it's not really on you guys anymore. It's now what at that point? It's not really fair for us, right? There should be a little bit of forgiveness at that point. If the client's asking for something like this, it's their property, their home, they're eventually going to get there, right?
Like that's why the building inspector really matters. That's coming by
Yeah,
to look
that's a
at
good point.
do you have common sense?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's not looking good.
Sorry?
No, it's about liability, obviously, at the end of
Yeah.
the day for the, for the city and their permit process. They need to check their boxes and do their job, and then they're kind of gone. Right?
You know what, though, in all fairness, I would like to actually know when the inspector shows up if he or she actually has built a deck before. If you're
Most likely no.
I know, that's what I'm trying to get at. So I think in all fairness, you should be some knowledge about deck building if you're going to be inspecting.
Yeah, but I think it's all over the construction industry. Every engineer that's sitting in the office and engineer a house, never been in field and
It's the
built
same
it.
thing. It's the same argument. I know.
20-inch deep LVLs for all the headers.
Overkill, and it starts going in. And that's what it is about deck building, is that it almost becomes a crash course on engineering, right? Like you really got to, if you're a framer and you're getting started in the business, you really have to understand structural really well, right? And then also choose material that will last a certain way or protect it a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Warranty-wise, what do you guys offer your clients? What's a good warranty to submit to them going, I mean, we know your product's going to get beaten up by Mother Nature, but what are you guys offering?
2 to 3 years we're giving.
Okay.
The material have 25, 50 years for PVC. Depends.
Manufacturer, whatever, yeah.
Railing 10 years if it's powder coated. But I'm always there to answer the phone calls. I have customers from 7 years ago that calling me, one board pop out. I'm like, I can't warranty it for you. It's a natural material, but
I'll come and take care of it.
yeah.
But that's just
screws.
customer service, right?
Yeah, but again, so warranty is something to put in the contract, right? Just so we have the understanding. It's like when I'm ordering material for a job site and we coming for the job site, I always order 10, 15% more of the composite, of the framing. And then at the end of the job, the customer is like, that's my material, right? I'm like, no, sir. If I was short by 10%, you're going to buy the material for me? It's
Exactly. It's the same argument.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are doing the same thing, roughly?
Oh, hell no.
No? What are you
No,
offering?
so I'm primarily wood, so I explain to them what happens with wood, but I always say, give me a call. If there's one that's really cracked, I'll just come replace it, like especially with the railing. I've had 0 callbacks. I'm going into 4 years now. Have had no calls, but I make sure that I explain to the clients what the sun does, and especially with the posts. I'm like, they're going to check. Like, but
There's nothing you can do.
I always tell them if there's a really bad one, just give me a call. I'll come replace it. I probably shouldn't be doing that because I know it's going to dry out and it's going to split or cup or whatnot. But
at the end of the day, I mean, if it's bothering them enough to call you, then I mean, you want to,
especially if it's safety,
happy, right? Because that's what's going to spur on your.
Especially
referrals.
if like the deck boards can be a problem, and the top rail. But again, so far, like I am just pressure treated. Like I've done some glass, and I often do the steel balusters. But yeah, I just and people are pretty, they understand that the wood is going to dry and split a little bit.
Am I too old to think that I actually think a weathered deck looks nice?
Yeah,
it's nice.
Am I too old to think that?
If it's in the country, it blends in.
If it's built properly and assembled properly,
A
and
grayish color.
yes,
Yeah, it's
and
nice.
but the thing is, the boards have been kept straight because they were installed properly or they were checked and everything. It's like I think that weathered deck actually looks nice, but why do clients have this perception of, I don't know, it's falling apart? They think it's falling apart. It's not falling.
Yeah, and then they stain it, and then it looks worse.
Well, then because now it's a
Yeah.
Band-Aid at that point.
Yeah.
And if you do want to oil it or stain it, there's a process attached to that, right? So it brings up to my next point about maintenance. Like, you guys have to educate your clients on how to maintain this deck.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's PVC, whether it's wood, whether it's whatever. Like, what do you guys offer for that? Or is it just a crash course and go online, sign in, and tick all these boxes?
Most of our clients go with the PVC because we tend to find that price is one of their big priorities, and maintenance free is one of the priorities. So people love that, like a PVC deck is low maintenance, and we basically tell them, like, Dawn dish soap, like soap and water. That's all you need. And they love that.
It's simple,
right?
I know.
That kind of justifies a little bit more of a premium price tag for a lot of people.
For wood, though, it's a different ball game.
For wood?
Yeah, I say keep the leaves and pine needles off of it. I highly recommend blowing it often.
You don't like the little leaf tattoos on the deck? And
especially if they're not getting that weather tape on the beams.
moisture, Mother Nature. Epay's a tough one, though.
Yeah.
Epay's a tough one, right? How much more Epays are left in the world?
You never know, but it's keep coming here. The
6,000 square feet.
containers keep coming here, man. It's a great material. I love it. It's hard to work with.
That's an understatement.
But,
Hard to work with.
But the final piece, man.
I'm curious on what
love
color
it.
tool you're tackling, Adam. Like, I mean, are you cutting that with a yellow tool or are you cutting it with a proper tool?
You never know. But the blade's going like...
That's what it is. The blade goes.
Yeah. And the beats and everything is going very quickly there, but it's a nice material. But the price also last year, I don't know if you know, like
I don't know how much it went up. I can only imagine with container shipping all the way from South
it
America.
went to about $12 a linear for 5/4 by.
Wow.
Yeah. Now it's came down to about 10, but I remember it at 5 something when I started.
I had a friend reach out to me, Ian from Gale Force Contracting and Masonry, and he asked me to build a couple of planters out of Epay to replace the ones that fell apart over time, right? Because they weren't built properly. And then I just handed it off to Gary from Mayor's Carpentry, and we priced it out, and it was like $3,000 each planter. This was not a big planter, man. And it got signed off, and I was just like, I just racked my head. I just didn't understand. It was 5/4 board. It was 4x4 Epay. It was ridiculously expensive, and it looked beautiful. Gary did an amazing job, and hopefully it was for 2 olive trees that were going to get put in and taken out every season. And they just wanted it to be done properly.
Well, I mean, you compare that to even just like plastic or fiberglass or steel containers these days, and those things are insanely expensive too, right?
As well too, right? So, Techno metal post screw piles are installed by our trained, certified professionals using specially designed hydraulic machines. The piles are augered in until they reach a specified torque and depth, allowing our installers to determine the load-bearing capacity for the structure. Helical pile foundations are made from hollow structural steel HHS that is compliant with ASTM A500 grade C. They are designed, tested, fabricated, and installed in compliance with Canadian, European, and U.S. building codes. When compared to bolted coupling in similar products, TMP's fully welded couplings ranked above the others and provided maximum strength, rigidity, and enhanced buckling resistance. Different shaft and helical blade sizes are available to accommodate the needs of structural support and site soil conditions. Our engineering department provides assistance to determine the appropriate sizes for specified project types. Reach out to them at www.technometalpost.com for your next project. How do you guys handle challenges and obstacles in this industry, man? Because you guys are always dealing with slowdowns. We talked about building process. Mother Nature's a big one for you guys. Start and stops. Terrain.
Yeah, I think simplifying your process and your package, I think solves a lot of problems from top to bottom, from selling it to performing it to your clients maintaining it. Like if you can find a select number of products that you like, you can count on, you know how to install well and refine your craft over and over again. That's a big one.
There's still always going to be challenges, though. Always.
100%.
I love it.
roll with it. It's construction.
I love challenges.
Yeah.
Like my stomach is getting so used and my brain to the stress. I actually enjoy, like I kind of.
You mean about a rock when you're digging for the footing? That's that kind of.
Yeah, it's fine. I just rebar some epoxy in there and I don't have to dig as much.
Yeah.
It works. Stamp it. It's done.
Or you're calling Roger.
What about you, Adam? How do you handle it?
We're just working around it, and again, we're installing a lot of Hilco. I didn't do concrete footing for a few years. I just love it. That was a game changer for me.
First time trying it, and
I tried it a few times. It was expensive at the beginning when you compare it to concrete, but it saves you so much time, so much dirt that you need to clear somewhere, and it's faster. You can keep building the framing at the same day.
Yep.
Nothing else like it.
How
Never going back to concrete.
How big's your crew, Adam?
I have 4, almost 5 of them.
Okay.
So we typically two people in a crew.
And then, Doug, what's your deck building crew?
Well, we've got 6 carpenters, and any of them can build a deck. So usually a couple of them are building a deck.
And Scott?
I got one. That's why I'm so good at doing challenges.
You're not ready? You're not ready to start adding a second and a
I'm
third?
not booked enough in advance yet.
But you think it's coming? You think it's...
Yeah, once I'm booked. I want to be booked for, I don't know, maybe 8 months ahead. I'm not right now. I'm just waiting to get booked a little bit more so I can have some steady work.
If you guys got clients that are reaching out to you, do you love them when they reach out to you in May and go, listen, we want a deck built this year?
For June 1st?
When should clients, because we get clients listening to the show, right? So I want to educate them.
I love them all.
Yeah.
We all love them all. It's they should be contacting you last year, right?
The snow has to be on the ground.
Right? At least ideally just last year,
Yep.
have a conversation with you, start considering vetting, start talking to people,
Yeah.
and then start looking at a schedule for this year.
It really changes based on the project
Yeah.
as well, too, right? Because if you're asking for a 10 by 10 deck off your back sliding doors, that's way different than, a huge deck with a fireplace and a roof, and where you're needing, full design, structural engineer, a permit process that might have revisions and back and forth with the city. Other trade contractors, you're going to have to line up, the masons, all this kind of stuff, right? There's a lot of project planning on that type of job. So that takes much longer, whatever it is, 6 to 12 months for a big job.
It's a process. Even earlier on, you guys were talking about dealing with the building process and
Yep.
just taking like that long to get it. Let that happen over the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wish.
But it doesn't always be the case, because once it starts, you're hearing birds chirp and you're starting to see flowers bloom.
It's amazing. Like
let's
how
build
the
a deck.
sun come down, the
Yeah.
phone is like
Totally.
It just starts exploding.
just
right?
like that.
If I'm looking at projects like right now in May, I will say, are you looking to get it in 2023 or 2024? And they
They think it's
smile.
a joke.
They think it's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely should be snow on the ground.
That's where you put another crew in.
It's eventually coming. How do you guys handle, water management? I mean, obviously, you want some rain off. You don't want a perfectly level deck, but you want to be aware of Mother Nature rain off and also grade rain off and all kinds of things like that. And also maintenance, because most people put the dish soap on there and just take a hose and you want it to run off, right? How are you guys handling that detail?
I believe in a perfectly level deck. We're grading the soil underneath,
Okay.
away from the house, but our deck, I always build it level.
And just leave the space and then just
I frame to 0 and then you have space gaps for it to drain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the same. We build level.
It's for your
We've done
stairs too. Like that's especially like for attaching stairs. I want to make sure that my frame is perfectly level, so no fall or anything.
Yeah.
But if you're dealing with a second floor deck and you're actually going to make it waterproof for the underneath, so then you can have an area.
So we've learned not to call it waterproof.
It's not.
water resistant.
Water resistant.
Water resistant.
We've done some.
But depends.
Water
If it's the rain escape, so yeah, I always
I've seen
water
it fail.
resistance. Sometimes we're just building a flat roof, slope
Yeah,
down,
exactly. I
and
was
then a level deck. So depends which one
Right.
you're going for. But yeah, the Renescape is water resistance, 100%.
Yeah, but okay, that's just the water catch system, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So why not just create a flat roof and just membrane
We
it?
do that. Depends if you have enough height, right? So
Mhm.
flat
True.
roof
It's true.
with the slope and everything gonna take you about
It
16
takes-
inches.
Yeah, it
plus
takes
the-
up your space,
so,
right?
yeah.
And then you've got your cladding on top of that. Your decking, right?
Yeah, I've
So-
seen the rain escape fail because the snow load was left not shoveled, and there was shiplap underneath and a sitting area underneath, and because of the high snowbanks all winter, when the spring came,
Yeah.
like so much water had collected in the rain escape that it must have bled through to the shiplap, and it was painted. It was pine 1x8 shiplap underneath, and it it went into the wood and then it sat in the joints, and
It was all destroyed at that time.
yeah. But I talked to the contractor that built it, and he's like, it's a waterproof membrane, and then we're putting like 3,000 screws into it, for the decking.
Yep.
So it wasn't 100%.
No,
But
you
it's like-
always try. You always put like a butyl tape and double layer of taping, and
I know, but
and
nowadays,
it's never
nowadays
perfect.
you got pedestals, and nowadays you can do tracks.
It wasn't joist tape, though. I remember.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so maybe that was it.
But it's amazing what they offer today. How you could still make that waterproof, right? And I guess beyond water resistant, but you could still work it. There's materials now. They're selling
Steel.
steel, yeah, aluminum rails
Mhm.
or something like that, and you're building everything off of that. But it's just common sense that am I just wrong to don't screw into a membrane?
Yeah. But again, like I think if you manage your client's expectations, you tell them it's going to be water resistant. Like you're going to be able to use
True.
the space underneath.
Yeah,
Because we do the Dr. Dex method with the EPDM liner. And
Yeah.
We kind of build our own.
yeah.
And it's great, but it's not perfect. So we did on a couple of our first ones, we did like tongue and groove sealing on the underside.
You do it
And
in
there-
one sheet, one sheet of
Uh,
EPDM.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then with the tongue and groove, because it's not 100% up top, there was a few watermarks, right?
Okay.
So our clients called us back on that. So we started just doing aluminum softening underneath because the little bit of water that does get through is not going to wreck the aluminum softening, and it's perfed. So it's going to dry out.
It would just dry out,
Right.
come right out, and you won't see it.
That's right. So that's our standard package. Again, is whatever deck board, the EPDM liner, waterproofing, resistant, not waterproofed, and then aluminum softening underneath. And we can usually sell that.
Just for my own sake, what's the highest that you can make a privacy fence on a second floor balcony deck?
Typically 6 feet.
You can build a 6 foot so that it won't be
That's the code. In some places,
on
I
a second
think-
floor.
Yeah.
Really? So you treat it as if it's a fence around the perimeter from grade 6 feet.
Yeah, that's the height.
But if you're on a second story, are the rules change or anything like that?
Are you talking min or max?
I'm talking max.
I don't know if there is
Yeah,
a
I'm
max.
not sure.
No, there is a max.
Well, your
but
railing
again, for
is
the neighbor
yeah,
complaint.
that's what I mean, right?
But that's 8 feet. Some area can be 8 feet even.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
And they can't complain. They
Depends
can't.
on the area. They can't. You can go to a variance.
All right,
and,
I do this show so I can have my wheels spinning and I
It's
can
2.4 meters.
Is it 2.4 meters?
No, that's
Two-
8 feet.
Yeah, it's 8 feet, man. That's crazy. It can't be that high. You'd be blocking out your view of your neighbor, right?
what view of you sitting on your deck and eating lunch? Like, if it's a lake, a ravine, and stuff like that, I understand. But
How critical does the city get when it comes to, I guess, pergolas and things like that? You start creating, like
Again, totally depends on the inspector.
We've
asked cities whether we've even like sent them in a sketch like, hey, does this pergola require a permit?
Yeah.
And sometimes we've gotten away with, oh no, that's not a load bearing structure. There's no roof on it. You don't even need a permit. Okay.
But those
And then
timbers, it could collapse.
typically, it's 108 square feet and not attached to the house. That's the
right.
thumb rule. But
Ideally, if you were going to do a pergola, you would want to have a pick point to the house, right? So then that's becomes structural, right?
Usually when they let us away with it, it's like a timber pergola over a stone patio.
Got it.
So it's not part.
freestanding, yeah.
It's freestanding. It's not part of the house. It's not part of a permitted deck. Those are the few times I can recall not needing one. But then you ask somebody else, and they're like, "Oh, of course this needs a permit."
yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm just going through my questions here, man. Okay, so you guys want to walk us through your process on how you guys deal with clients when you guys first start talking to them, and you met them for the very first time. They got you a referral. They did a Google search. They went on IG or whatever. They saw some of your work. You guys get the phone call. You get the DM. You get the email. You get whatever. Brand new client. You guys go over. How does it all begin for you guys?
We're setting up an appointment,
Okay.
going for a free estimate. Try to listen to the customer. He guide us typically to the backyard and show us what he wants, what he's looking for, and we suggesting the size, and of course depends on the backyard that he's having there, but we're suggesting what to use, what height, how to divide it. We're always asking what he planning to put on the deck, like what areas he need. They want to sit down. Is it just a small deck to get access to something else, or that's going to be the main backyard area that they're going to sit. And that's it. We're offering him all the materials available, taking the measurements, explaining him before we sending the quote how the quote going to look like, what is picture frame, what is fascia, what is Hilco pile, what is skirting, and all of that. Because then you're getting a million emails after you're getting the quote. What is that and what is that? So
Might as well explain it.
yeah. And that's it. Sending the quote within 24 hours and give him a few days to think about it.
24 hours?
That's pretty fast.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's good.
Nice.
And you're still quoting everything yourself, or you have guys? No, right? You've expanded it to other people to start handling it now. How fast are you, Scott?
I try 7 days, but like I'm the only person in my
Of
company.
course,
so
because you're still swinging the hammer, and then you're also doing the quote, and then also.
it's probably the most stressful part of my business is estimates, making sure I get them out on time.
Yep. Quicker the better, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they'll make a decision with somebody else if you don't, right?
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you probably have lost work, you think, because you couldn't get it to them soon enough?
Yeah, but usually I'm okay with it. If they want, like I get back to them. That's on them.
Sorry, we hired already.
All right, good luck.
That's the thing that I hate the most. To hear something like that they already hired because of my like bad timing or whatever. It's
So even at
Yeah.
24-hour turnaround, they're still telling you we've already hired
no.
someone?
That's I'm doing also checkup follow-ups after.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they might choose somebody not because I was late or maybe price point. Maybe they had a good connection with somebody else
course.
or referred or
You need
whatever. but
feedback.
yeah, I always try to do a good follow-up a few
course.
days after, and I wanted to do to present the quote like personally, but that's a lot of driving, a lot of
Too much.
going.
Too much.
It's good to get a personal connection and to meet the customer once again and go through everything, but not possible.
How do
in
you
my
handle
case.
it, Doug?
So yeah, pretty similar start. Somebody will reach out, whether that's a phone call or a contact request form on our website, which comes in as an email.
Yeah.
We've set up our contact request form on our website so that it asks them their name, their address, but then also to describe their project, what their budget is, what their timing looks like, that type of thing. So we've got a little bit of information when we call them. But yeah, basically going out to see the site, meet the homeowners, discuss, their vision, educate them a little bit, talk about all that fun stuff. And then that meeting is going to give me a really good sense of what this project looks like.
Yeah.
So then I can go back and put together a pre-construction proposal, which basically outlines the design fees that'll go along with developing the project. So we charge $100 an hour for concept design, budget planning, and detailed design, and permit administration. So depending on the size of the project, that could be $1,500, it could be $15,000, depending on the size of the job. That allows us the office time to, really dive into it and put together a really robust design. And
I know Scott's thinking right now about his design fee.
Free estimates.
I'm not laughing at you. We've all been there, and it's just like and I'm sure you also factored into your pricing. Like it's cost, it's your time.
Yeah, I wish I could change it. I thought about charging, and I'm like, I better find a different job.
Why not try?
No, but there is a difference between design and a big project like that to just quote a deck. We also do a free estimate. We offer that, and we're driving hundreds of kilometers a day between meetings. But when it's getting to drawing, can you show me in 3D how it's going to look like? And I want to have drawings for the permit. Can you make it for me and stuff like that? So that's of course we're charging, but estimate point of view, free.
So just bottom line is I try to get as much information from them and to them to just get things moving a lot faster, so then they appreciate what you guys are bringing to the table.
I think
right?
that asking for the budget is huge because that
But
saves
where are they
so
getting
much
that
time.
number from?
Yeah, who knows?
Other than their line of credit or bank approvals or whatever they've saved in the piggy bank, right?
Or their buddy spent.
Their buddy spent.
If
But
I
then they
whatever
spent
on-
like in 1919.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's a different price point at that time. So it's
If
like,
I know the budget before I estimate it, it makes my estimating so much better, so much quicker. I'm not wasting time. Because like often, if I don't have the budget, I need to ask more. A lot of the times, most of the times I don't ask for the budget, so I'm pricing out way too much.
But is asking for a budget like the red car syndrome, where you guys are car shopping and all of a sudden I want to buy a red car. So all day long, you'll always notice a red car. So it's just like if they tell you the budget number, that's stuck in your head. So then you're going to somehow cater your number to land around that number.
Yeah, but sometimes the customer don't really understand what's going on, right? He wants a 20 by 20 deck with glass railing and stairs and all of that, and his budget is $5,000. Happened to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm still going to give him my quote, and he's not going to find the quote for $5,000, right? So you still need to work for your quote and do everything, because if you're going to build a deck, you're going to build with somebody. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about that in that first visit and finding out that they have a $5,000 budget. I mean, right there in that conversation, you can start to educate them about what their range. You should be telling them like, hey, I mean, we could put together an option for you for a $20,000 deck. It could be a $50,000 deck. Like, where in that range are you comfortable? What's important to you? Or is it just the economics of it? Are you really looking for something that's robust and that's going to last a long time? In which case, you probably want to spend a little bit more. Like, what are your decision-making factors?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And what I've started doing is if the client's going to ask for the glass railing with the composite and stuff, what I actually started doing recently is just pricing out PT with wood railing, black steel balusters. So that's my basic deck that I build. And then I send them that and I say, if you're okay with that, then I will price for the composite and the glass. But the last 3 decks that I've priced, it's been over their budget using the cheaper options for the materials.
Of course.
It saves me so much. Like, I don't know. That might not be good, but
How do you guys stay up with all the ever-changing materials out there, options out there? Are you guys going to trade shows? You guys are speaking to suppliers? Are the suppliers speaking to you guys? Are they notifying you, letting you know this is coming down the pipe? Like, how are you guys educating yourself so you can take that material and that experience to the clients?
I just been in the States in a visit in the plant of one of the supplier, one of
Okay.
the manufacturers. I'm trying to stick to one brand out of them, and the innovation coming to every company. It's not that one of them gonna get better than the other one. So I'm comfortable with one good supplier, good manufacturer. I'm the biggest installer in Ontario of that manufacturer, so they warranty my labor as well.
Yep.
As the package of warranty to the customer. Typically, they warranty only the materials. So if you have one defective board in the middle of the deck, they're gonna send you a new board, but you need to open up and replace it. Maybe open the railing and stuff. So that manufacturer covering my labor cost as well for my customer.
How are you guys handling it?
Yeah, a little bit of interaction with manufacturers and suppliers. Social media is pretty good as well, just to kind of, again, pick up those tips and tricks that other people have figured out
Yep.
just on the fly. But I think it's incremental improvements in your game year after year, whether that's, epoxying your miters and figuring out expansion, contraction with the material, and it's just constant little improvements.
Scott?
yeah, just through IG and YouTube.
That's
That's
it.
pretty much, I don't go out of my way, to be honest with you. If I get, just because like I have 100% of my projects are PT and wood. So until I get more
Any
clients,
reason for that, or
budget,
customer budget?
yeah. It's just my area, maybe.
What's the price difference we're talking about here, percentage-wise? What are we talking about?
I price
more?
around 3 times more for composite.
3 times
Three
more
times
than-
more?
than the PT. You guys around the same ballpark?
I would say less, but
But you're also probably getting your PVC a lot cheaper, right?
Yeah, but
Probably not.
No, it's probably the same price point. I don't think that I can.
Like between the three of us?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's probably the same price.
it probably is, right?
Yeah.
But then labor-wise,
I know for sure it's going to take more labor. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a lot longer. I would have said double to triple, but it's been a long time since I priced a PT Tech.
I'd tell customers 3 times. I think I
actually-
priced it at 2
it's a
point.
good
It's
point.
in
It's
between
outrageous.
2.5.
Yeah.
It's definitely over double, I think. Anyways, what I charge.
Let's get into the whole world of deck home automation. Everybody wants bells and whistles now. Everybody wants lights, accent lighting, chronotherapy, whatever. Just like all kinds of massaging decks, vibrating decks. Like it's like, is that's where it's all headed now? Or we want integrated speakers hidden somewhere and all this other stuff. I think one of the fanciest things I ever did in my first year of construction was recess a GFI plug into a 6x6 post. And then chamfer a channel to run the wire. And I was like, that's great. That was wonderful. That was a pain in the ass. I didn't make any money off of it. But nowadays, it's like lights, speakers, just all kinds of stuff. Mist. Are we putting mist on? I've gone to patios before, and I've had mist. You know, I mean, you're on a patio deck, summertime, and you have a little mist going on, and you're like, that's actually a good idea. Can I sell that to a client one day?
I don't know if it's just my bubble, but I find that a lot of our clients are getting overwhelmed by automation.
Too much.
Because you can automate everything these days. So they've got too many apps on their phones and too many remotes and controls. Like you look at anybody's like TV set these days and they've got like 6 remotes or whatever, right?
That's true, right?
So like the consolidation of automation is being asked for. So wherever we can kind of pull stuff together, like often we're incorporating our exterior lighting, our low voltage lighting into the pool automation. So at least they can just use the pool app
Yep.
as one consolidated source of automation for their backyard.
Speaker's a big thing these days?
Hit and miss.
Okay.
Kind of depends on the people, whether they're big music people, big entertaining people.
Scott, haven't tackled that
Plead the
world yet?
fifth. I got nothing.
No?
No.
It's coming. I'm telling you that right now. It's coming, man.
I hope it does.
People are going to ask for this stuff. If you could try to figure out how to do it for them and
I
offer.
think I need to move.
No, I think it's there. I mean, I'm sure, Adam, you've come across.
yeah, we're doing many lights, a lot of lights, a little bit of speaker, not too much. And if you integrate the pergola in there, so you have all the blinds coming out and the louvers and lights in the pergola, fan, all of that. But in the deck himself, mostly is electrical outlet and lights, low voltage lights.
See, the low voltage, when they first came on the market, I wasn't a huge fan of it because call me crazy. Light has a purpose behind it. And having a little pinhole light in
It's
a
an
tread,
accent light. It's not.
straight up, and then if you stand at a certain point, it goes right in your eye like your
Yeah.
high beams, right? So it's like it doesn't serve its
The
purpose.
key with outdoor lighting is to not to see the fixture or see
Exactly. That's where I was headed to.
supposed to give the moon glow effect on your surfaces,
Yes.
provide.
So now you have to be a lighting designer and a
Yep.
deck builder to try to figure out, where do I cascade this light?
That's right.
How do I wash the beautiful deck with light?
Yeah, I think you have a big variety. Inlight is one of the greatest, I think, light provider, and they have plenty of solutions for any surface to put the light in.
Mhm.
So we typically put it on the risers of the deck
Yeah.
with the Evo, and some under, if it's a frameless glass, we're putting under the glass panels, so you're never actually standing there and looking at it, and that's mostly it.
That's the trick. And that actually makes it work. But it's also is the cost worth it?
There's a wide range in the cost of
Okay.
outdoor lighting, low
Okay.
voltage stuff. There's stuff that's economical and there's exorbitant stuff and there's everything in between. There's a lot of suppliers doing it.
The economical
there's-
one, I'm trying to stay away. It's
For
tend
sure.
to get yellowish and
Yep.
flicker after time and stuff, so it's much more work for me. The customer disappointed at the end. And
Mhm.
so
We find
that's
anything
why-
with a brass fixture is a good bet. Like the cheaper stuff tends to be plastic.
Okay.
And then there's some powder coated black stuff that's metal based, but I find over time the powder coating can fail on those. But solid brass fixtures are, I find, pretty durable.
Have the manufacturers actually solved the problem of just possibly keeping the fixture, making them last as long as possible, and then just having to replace the drivers? Or they haven't solved that problem yet?
I mean, we've been using LED for a long time outside.
Okay.
and they tend to last.
But they're all running off of drivers, aren't they? Or no? They're direct wired?
I think they're direct.
Really?
Yep. I don't think there's any drivers.
Okay. I was on the assumption that they were, okay, because they're just all low voltage and put in together.
No, it's not like the pot lights that you have there.
Yeah, no. The electricians are going to send me hate mail now. I don't give a shit.
Yep.
So let them send me.
It's direct.
No, it's all just back to a transformer
Okay.
box that plugs into a standard GFI.
And that's it. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I want to ask you, gentlemen, is it worth getting the awards and the recognition attached to these decks? Is it valuable in the marketing scheme of things?
I think it's important as a standpoint to show a customer so he can get feel more comfortable. That together with the reviews of customers, previous customers, and references and stuff like that. Just the reward himself, not too much. Nothing to brag about.
How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I mean, we try and submit a couple a year just to kind of keep a little bit of a consistency with it. I do it as much for our company culture internally as I do for marketing.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because there's a bit of pride that goes through the team when that happens. Yeah, I mean, a lot of industry awards are just kind of a pay-to-play type thing. You submit your application fee, and as long as it's a nice photograph of a good-looking project, you win. So it's kind of a participation trophy rather than an actual judged. Like, it's not like there's 30 entries and 3 are winning.
Got it.
It's 30 entries, and whatever amount of entries meets the caliber, the professional photography of a decent-looking project, like 25 of them could win.
Got it.
And there's no first, second, third. It's just you want
Recognize. The industry's being recognized.
Yeah, and that's its purpose is to just kind of build, industry morale, rapport. There's
Take a break. Yep.
there's just the fact that other contractors, the camaraderie, getting to know other people that maybe they do this type of thing and you don't. So being able to refer to each other, you meet people at these award events. A little bit of branding, because I mean, the branding is industry internal as well. A lot of these things, very little I think outreach into the homeowners that are seeing this type of stuff.
But it gets you traction, I guess. I guess the if you are associated with this and you get recognized that way, then it could potentially get you traction on a digital platform. So then a potential client could kind of connect the dots and then all of a sudden go, you know what, maybe I'll give you guys a call because I just read something great about you guys because you guys were attached to this award or something like that.
Yeah, and there's a bit, I mean, you're putting these projects on your website and, this one's award winning. There's a bit of credibility that goes along with that. So it's certainly not a bad thing. Certainly beneficial. Is it the be all and end all? I don't think so.
But it's part of the whole package of you trying to sell yourself. Do you feel the same way, Scott?
No, I agree with what you just said.
Yeah.
I don't. Just Google Sobey Construction, look at my reviews, and that's all I need.
Okay.
But I'm having a problem with clients actually reviewing me on Google. I tell them it literally is more important than, the money that I'm getting from you. But it's just they forget.
How are you approaching asking them the third time, the fourth time? At some point, you got to stop asking, right?
Yeah. I'm going to be doing some follow-up emails here soon, but that's what it's important to me. As long as my Google reviews have a high rating, I thought about, because I know that Google's best businesses, you can get one as long as you're over 4 stars.
Yeah.
I thought about getting one of those stickers for my truck, but it was $700 and something.
Is it really that much?
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'm not. But it's not like you said. I agree with what you said. It's definitely does not hurt, and it might steer someone from picking him over me if he's got one. It could be.
You don't know for sure, but it could be. It could be a factor.
I found especially with being in the carpenters union, I thought being a licensed carpenter was so important to me until I was working with so many licensed carpenters, and I realized that it really didn't make them any better than me. Because I quit the carpenters union, quit my apprenticeship, and now I'm just like that title means absolutely nothing to me because I've seen so many licensed carpenters that I was just ashamed of, to be honest with you.
That's a whole other world.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, gentlemen, about how conscious are clients these days about sustainability? I know you guys talked about it briefly at the beginning of the show. Is it overrunning the actual cost of a deck? Or is it still second fiddle to the cost of the deck regarding choosing material or choosing a contractor that's conscious of sustainability and building in a sustainable way for their deck?
I haven't had one client
Nothing
mention
brought up?
it.
No?
Yeah, no.
They don't discuss it. So they're discussing numbers and what you're going to deliver regarding the quality of your work.
Yeah.
And then, Doug?
Yeah, it's tough because I mean we're kind of experiencing this uptick now, so I can't say I've got years and years of trends to kind of speak to.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier, like it's certainly increasing the amount of clients that are asking about this type of stuff. And then with us, you know, when we're getting approached to do like, you know, an energy retrofit on a renovation, if they happen to say, oh, we'd also like a deck, well, then naturally that conversation is going to lead into sustainable decking materials because they've already came from that standpoint of, you know, wanting to look at the energy performance of their home.
Yeah.
Right. So they're that type of person already. Yeah. But yeah, definitely.
Adam? Not having a conversation?
No, not really.
Well, if you're installing 6,000 square feet of Epay,
No, not much about that.
how do you guys, that's it? The clients just want you to build a beautiful deck and leave it at that. That's it. Doesn't matter if we're taking down trees in South America.
No, we always, again, I think maintenance-free materials, that's the topic of today. Like,
Yep.
most of the customers tends to go there. I don't know if they got lazy, but it's a new generation and nobody really taking care of the deck. And even if you do it at the first time for them, after that, you know, it's not going back there. They just let it cure. So they all rather to keep it at the same color 24/7 for 10 years, 15 years. And me personally, I think it's a lot of people, you know, today moving houses so fast. So they're buying a house after 3 years, 5 years, they're moving. And that's something that helps when you sell a house with an old pressure-treated deck or cedar deck that haven't been maintained, or a composite deck that you just power wash it. And
It's a liability at that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
My last 3 clients said, this is not a forever home. Just do pressure treated.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just make it last for as long as we're going to be here
Yep.
and then get out of Dodge.
Yeah. And that's, just what happened with my the joist tape. They're repeat clients. And I told him, you know, I'm going to put joist tape on it. And he's like, don't worry about it. We're probably going to move in 2 years. Don't worry about it.
Techno Metal Post have designed and created a series of specialized hydraulic equipment exclusively for the installation of helical pile foundations. A single machine compact in size allows the crew to complete installations for even the toughest foundations and tightest spots. It is less disruptive to surrounding areas compared to traditional methods, as it does not require excavation, the use of heavy machinery, or concrete pouring. Another added benefit is the minimum impact on your lawn and surrounding landscape, leaving behind only a small footprint. Both customers and installers alike are highly satisfied with the ability to start construction on their project within a short period of time, even as little as within the same day. In the end, your project was efficient, tidy, and cost-effective. Reach out to them at www.technometalpost for your next project. How do you guys handle changes? Like, I mean, obviously you start building, you've got a scope, you've designed something, you did 3D model or whatever, and now you start building and the client starts coming out, and for whatever reason, their optometrist made them look at something different, and now they don't see what they see that you guys have sold them, and now they want to make a change. But you guys already started building. You're in the building process.
Yeah, it's just a communication thing.
Okay.
I mean, it starts with a detailed scope of work and a design that they've signed off on. But then it's like when they're asking for a change, it's how you communicate with them what that process looks like, and not getting your back up about it, and no problem.
It's a conversation.
You know,
let's
this is what we priced out. This is the design. These are the materials. This is the labor. Educating them on, okay, well, if you're asking me to do this, then it's gonna, we're gonna have to peel back that, and there'll be some time to do this. We'll have to go buy X number of these more, and kind of framing it and saying, hey, like I'll get you a price, and then not doing it until they sign off on the price first, because that can really bite you in the butt. At them saying, hey, well, you want to change this, and you just saying, okay, well, it's not in the scope, it's going to cost more, like I'll do it. And then after the fact, giving them the price for that change. And then, well, I didn't think it was going to cost $5,000.
Sounds familiar.
Right.
You've been through it, right, Scott?
Yep.
Well, we all learn. Everybody learns in the beginning, right? So then you just have the conversation. That's all it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keep them in the loop.
Yep.
But I guess it's when you get a client that dramatically starts to change. I don't want the pergola here. I want the pergola here. like it's just, you start dramatically changing things, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I had a designer make a mistake. That was my problem. It wasn't the client.
You had a designer make a mistake and it became your problem.
Yes, and the designer didn't want to own it. So
I
then
think
it
I
was,
read that on a
that's tough.
t-shirt.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
fixed it.
I want to ask you guys, payment-wise, if you guys want to share how you guys, are we still like 50-50? What's the deposit? What's the final? Are you guys?
I'm doing a 20% deposit
Okay.
upon signing, 40% after demolition, if there is demolition, and after the material been delivered to the backyard, and 40% at the end.
You're holding out 40% at the very end.
Yeah.
That's a big wallet.
It is. But again, I think also 20% is a small amount for deposit. Used
It
to be
is.
10 up until 2 years ago for me. But it gives confidence to the customer, I
It
think.
does. It does. I've had guests on the show that don't even take a deposit because they want to start proving
I don't like it
themselves.
because, but then you book that certain week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks to do that job.
Yeah.
You're calling Ontario One,
Yeah,
you're
it's
booking
risky.
the Hilco pile, you're ordering the material if it's a special order.
You're already doing so much work.
Yeah, and
Yes.
then, okay, we're going to be there next week. Oh, I'm sorry, I booked with somebody else. I forgot that so it's not, at least something, even $1,000. Just something.
Commitment.
Yeah.
How do you handle it, Scott?
No longer, I don't take a loss on any of the material, so I'm 100% material deposit. And then mostly I wait all the way till the end again, I'm one person, my decks are a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
For the duration of the project, but typically I'll do 100% material deposit, and then my labor's paid 100% at the end when they're happy. But for that really large deck that I completed, there was still 100% deposit for the materials, but I bought the materials in stages. So I bought the concrete portion, say it was $8,000, I'd get an $8,000 check,
Yeah.
and then the framing was $12,000, I'd get a $12,000 check, and then my labor was progression payments.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't find
Yeah,
the word.
no, that makes sense.
But typically for smaller jobs, if they're going to be under 3 weeks, then I'll just do pay at the end.
And Doug, how you guys handle
And I
it?
haven't had one problem with any client asking for 100%.
If it ain't broke, man.
Just
don't
because,
fix
like,
it.
if they decide to not pay me, and most of the time, like, I don't even do contracts most of the time, which is going to change here, as I now have had problems. But so far, I have not had a problem with that.
You will.
We're not wishing it.
Yeah.
We're just saying that you long enough in the game.
I just mean I haven't had a problem with asking for 100% material.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Doug?
Yeah, we do 10% to book, and then another 20% when we place material orders. So that kind of gives us a 30% deposit because
Yeah.
we're not actually paying for the materials when we order them. And then we do biweekly progress billing. So every 2 weeks, our office sends out an invoice on active jobs for whatever we've accomplished.
Cool.
So that kind of keeps cash flow in a very cyclical, regular pattern.
And then I guess Mother Nature gets involved and that
Yep.
kind of slows down a tiny bit, but then the office just gets aware of that and then we just kind of backtrack it a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Well, we bill every 2 weeks, no matter
No
whether-
matter what, so it
whether
doesn't
it's
Yeah, that's good.
if we haven't done anything, we send them a no update, which is essentially just an update saying, hey, there hasn't been significant enough progress to actually bill you anything.
Yeah.
But it's still a message. Or if there's a small, whether it's $1,000, it still goes out. But every 2 weeks they get some sort of invoice message.
How are you guys keeping your crew busy on days that you can't physically work? You prepping other jobs, you're getting other things organized, you're fixing the shop. Scott's kind of chuckling here because he's the crew, but how are you guys handling that?
I mean, we're lucky we have renos on the go as well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they can go inside. But I mean, it's usually pretty bad outside if they can't do something.
And Adam, you're the same way?
Well, I don't do reno, but yeah, there is always something to do. Never sit home. If it's a rainy day, we find what to do. And I'm a mix of subcontractors and employees. So of course, first of all, I'm taking care of my employee to get busy, and
Yep.
I never had any issue with it. And yeah, we're still working with the light rain. Winter time, we work all winter last year.
Oh, wow.
And except up to minus 15, 10, we're still out there working.
Wow. Good for
Yeah.
you guys.
Nice.
Another reason why to do Hilcopile with Techno Metal Post, right?
Somebody plug in somebody. Actually, it brings up my next point because I know that, Scott, you haven't used it yet.
No, I have
So
not.
you're still doing concrete piers, right?
Oh, yeah.
But Doug, obviously you guys have used it. I've done it a number of times, right? And I've used it for a bunkie. I've used it for deck. I've used it for something else that he doesn't want me to mention. But you used it for other things as well too. And it's just when I used it for the first time. But what other foundations have you guys worked with? Have you guys just done strictly concrete and just a sonotube, and then, or have you done, I guess, block?
I did block a couple of times when it's not attached to the house.
Okay. So free floating.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's, again, I'm nothing
deck
with
that
Techno Metal
moves.
Post, but
Yeah.
Hilcopile is so clean, fast, quick, accurate, and the concrete, man, I used to own a machine, and we're coming a whole crew there just to dig it, and then we need to dig beside it because there is a rock there, and to clear all the soil, bring the concrete mix with the.
I was sold and you'll be sold first.
I
time
know,
you're
I'm
using
definitely
Scott,
looking into
when
it.
you come up across a deck that's near a tree, and we
Oh,
know
yeah.
we know the
Yeah,
rule of
the
thumb,
roots.
right? So if the canopy of the tree is one size, the root system is twice that size of the canopy. That's the average rule, right? So if you already see a tree and you got to build a deck that's probably just underneath the canopy, you're hitting roots, and
Sounds
it's a pain in the ass, right? With a helical, you can just drill right through the root, not through the roots. You drill underneath, around the roots, right?
Yeah, it'll chew through it usually.
Yeah. But I mean, they're also conscious of you actually dig a little bit and you go underneath it, which is what I like about it.
I'm definitely interested because, I've dealt with a concrete truck by myself with 2 wheelbarrow buckets running, just hoping I don't trip and follow my own rebar that I've
That's
poked
terrible.
up. Yeah. I'm 35, but still, it's like a lot of labor. And I mostly end up hand digging for my piers with my big Milwaukee SDS because access, I just find sometimes it's just not worth it to rent a machine. And then
digging with an SDS?
No. When I hit the rocks, when I get a rock, then I just grab the big Milwaukee, break it. My body's dying.
I'm dying
That's
just listening to that, man.
Yeah, because the large deck that I keep referring to is, I think it was 1,200 square feet. It was around a pool. There's 15 piers. I rented one of those Toro, the mini skid steers. I think they're called Toro. They're the little one that you stand behind.
Yeah, dingo.
Yeah, the dingo.
Yep.
I had it, and I spent a full day with it, and I couldn't get to depth. I think I only got to depth on 3 of my holes. There was bedrock, but there was crazy shelves on the bedrock. So I rented it for the day, and it was pretty much useless. So I ended up having to do most of it by hand with the SDS, and it was 2 weeks.
2 weeks later, yeah.
I literally was 2 weeks, and then the building inspector came, and he's like, "Why did you dig this out so much?" He's like, "You could have just stopped that one about 3 feet up, and just done rebar." Yeah. I was breaking through the bedrock. I was just like, no, I was so inexperienced with the bed, the rock. I didn't believe that it was strong enough, and the building inspector's like, "You're crazy."
I've seen that. Have you done that with Techno, where I've actually had them anchor it to a stone that wasn't going to move? Like they determined that stone was there. That's all it is, and then they just anchored it right to it. Yeah. And then we built off of that, and it was impossible. It was on an angle. It was on a hillside going into a lake, right? So it's like, how do you do this? And then they just anchored it to it, and I was like, okay. That's when you'll get sold. You'll get sold when you start digging, and whether you come across really sandy, soft soil, and you got to keep on digging, and you're concerned about putting a pier in there, and you're 4 feet down, and you're
Yeah, but that can surprise you as well. Extension and another extension.
Oh, I know. How
and
far
another
how far have you
extension.
gone? I've gone as far as 12 feet.
60.
60.
Really? Wow, that's insane.
Yep.
You just see it spin and spin and spin and spin and spin.
Yeah, we were actually this one we were doing a gated entrance, like masonry walls on a gated entrance.
Wow.
And we were going to do a traditional concrete frost foundation.
Yeah.
But the soil was unstable, so it was kind of a marshy area.
Yeah.
And so then the engineer suggested we do helical piles under the 4-foot frost wall to stabilize it, and they just kept going, kept going 60 feet. So yeah, it was eight
That's
piles
something
down
that I
60
never price extensions in my.
At that point, you just get the crew from Frontiers and just get on a space shuttle and go stop the asteroid, man, if you're
Right.
digging that far,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
That's far. That's insane. Were they even surprised? They must have been surprised.
I don't think so. I think I mean, it's not common, but it's not unheard of.
Well, at least you know it's safe. It's not nothing's
Yep.
gonna happen to that.
It's just when they hit a certain torque, right?
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So they know that they can't move from that
Yep.
point, right?
Yep.
And so you just the last 4 feet you poured concrete and it just sat on that.
Yep. Yeah. So the footer sat on
Got it.
the saddles, on flat plates with rebar, and then there was still the 4 foot.
Wait till you get
crosswalk.
into that, Scott.
Yeah.
You'll probably come across a client.
I want to get rid of all my concrete and finishing it because I'm so anal. When I take my sonotubes off and I see any like air pockets or anything like that, I get so like worried. And my friends that own the companies are like, no one's looking at the piers. No one cares. He's like, you're
That's
the
a
only
good
one.
place to start, man.
He's
You're in a
like-
good.
He's like,
It's
"You're-"
better that than somebody that mixing dirt in the concrete and try
He's
to.
like, you're the only one that actually takes the cardboard off, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, it gets taken, and I want to take it off. First of all, it doesn't look good, and second of all, I want to see my concrete how it finished because like I don't even have a vibrator, and on the last big one I did with the 2 wheelbarrows, I know there was way too many air pockets in my concrete. So last one I just grabbed my Sawzall and it helped a little
It
bit.
kind of makes sense.
But
Because
I want to see my concrete. So, but if
Yeah.
I can eliminate concrete, then I'll be happy.
you got to give it a try because you'll see it be a game changer, and all of a sudden your pricing will probably have to change as well too. But then also what you deliver for your clients is gonna be better, right?
And my spine.
Your
to protect
spine.
it.
But you could like it just cuts out so much time. That's the biggest thing is it takes a 2-week deck down to like a week and a half
It does.
or a week. And then you can also, while they're installing your foundations, you can be over finishing another deck. So it's capacity.
You've
right?
never experienced where you actually can start building a deck the day that
Yeah, it
the
happens
piers
weeks
are
Yeah,
in.
you could have the deck framed.
Or
all day long, right?
237 emails later. Yeah. Takes a while.
We've all done that where you start having it all framed, ready to go, on the same day that it happened, right? Which is
Yeah.
always fun.
Yeah, typically we're putting the ledger board while they're installing the.
Yep.
That's how we deliver the material to the back and putting the ledger board, building the beams outside while they're installing the piles. They gone, they cutting everything 6-inch, and we.
I want to ask you guys about Cowboys because I guess you get a lot of deck builders that don't spend the time and effort to mark out the foundations properly, right? Whether you're digging your own piers, right? But the thing is, if we're getting somebody else to come in and put the foundations for us, you guys are spending the time and effort to actually cross hairs perfully where we want
They
that.
would never mark it for you.
No.
You have to do it for
You
them.
have to do it, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, we have to call, one call, and then we've got to get all our locates done and take care of all that stuff first. But I've always been so conscious of that the crosshairs being, this is exactly
Yep.
where I want it, right?
Thumb bob.
Like, yeah, you have to. You
High school
have to.
trigonometry is what it
That's
is.
simple as that.
Yep.
But I know that there's a lot of deck builders that don't take that critical step. They don't think it's a critical
Well, you're
step.
just causing yourself issues when you go to frame, like especially set the beams.
Yeah.
What do you
If your
mean? So
piles
what
aren't
they
perfect.
doing?
They're just hoping a prayer. They're on their hands and knees, and they're just like, okay, this is fine. Then you start framing, you're like, okay, right there. That'll be good. Put a little plate, whatever. Extend it. Give me a bigger plate. That's what they're doing, no? That's what I'm seeing.
I don't know.
I'm seeing some guys do that. That's
I
the
never saw it, and I hope it's only a story.
thing. I've seen it. You guys ever is it worth it doing the 3D modeling, the sketching, and presenting it to clients and walking them
It
through?
is not worth it because I do it for free.
You do it for free?
No more. Now I'm just doing simple overhead squares so they can see the shape in their backyard
And
to
that's the
scale.
extent.
And that's it.
Are
now.
you guys are doing them, right?
Yeah. But again, it depends on the project.
Of course. But are we getting very elaborate with them, or are we just getting enough to kind of show them?
No, I mean, I used to because I thought it was important, but now it's more like massing models to kind of give them a vibe of the space. And then once they're comfortable with that, then you go to construction drawings.
I think as long as it's to scale, that's
Yeah.
the most important thing.
Because some people can't read plan view, right? Especially with like a living space, like a deck, where there's going to be some furniture and they're going to want to sit around. So with a 3D model, if you can put some furniture and some people in for context, and they can sense the space much better. Most people,
Yeah.
Because in plan view, a lot of people can't get the understanding of what that space is going to feel like.
Well, that's what clients are, aren't they? Like they don't. You can't walk down a hallway and understand what a 4-foot wide hallway is, right? So that's why I was at the start of the show. I was asking about what the size of an average deck for a table for 6 people. You need travel path. You need space,
Yeah.
and especially for outdoors. It almost becomes amplified. It's slightly larger because I guess seating areas are always larger backs are larger, depths are larger.
Furniture is bulkier.
Yeah, it's
typically.
huge. Yeah.
So now you got to factor that in when you start building it, right? So like it's nice having a conversation with a client, and we just want an 8x10 deck. Well, you're not going to fit a couch on this. You won't fit a fire pit. You won't fit any of this stuff. So you need all that space, right? So you guys know that, but it's just a matter of showing it to them. So the 3D modeling kind of helps a little bit on that.
It does. Yep.
Last month, my client had a Tesla, and I was doing built-ins in their garage, and I actually loaded a Tesla model into the SketchUp and parked it exactly to scale where she parks. And then I brought the camera down inside the car so that when she came home, she could look out of her window and see exactly the way the built-in looked. And I colored the built-in. I drew everything, and it took a lot of hours. I got the job.
Good for you. How much would you guys balance aesthetics of a deck versus functionality of a deck? Is it 50?
I'm a big fan of functionality.
Okay. So it's not 50-50 here.
I agree. The functionality has to be bang on,
Okay.
and then you do as good as you can with aesthetics after that.
Same thought?
I'm just like, because I'm doing exposed fasteners for most of all my builds, I'm very anal with my fastener placing. Like, it's all symmetrical. Everything's measured out. I will say that I have made a decision to use the quick drive, which I really didn't want to buy one. But on the larger projects, I'll tack my decking down with 3 screws, and then I run a zero chalk line that just blows away with the you just dust it off. So I'm tacking my deck boards, snapping for the whole length of the joist, and then I'm going through, being very careful with the quick drive. But if it's a smaller deck, then I'll hand measure everything out. And I used to do that for every single deck, but as being the only person in my business, I need a little bit of efficiency.
Yeah.
So I've switched to the quick drive, but it still kind of drives me crazy if it's not perfect.
You remind me of myself 8 years ago or so.
Yeah. See, I'm year 4 now. I imagine the next 4 years I'll be a bit different.
No, it's gonna change. Believe me, it's gonna change.
You guys ever build a deck on top of a concrete slab?
Yeah.
I had a client ask me to do that a few years ago.
I don't think I have.
So we did helicos on
Flash on the concrete.
Not flush, no.
Yeah, you're cutting the concrete, putting the helico pile. That's what you mean?
No, we actually incorporated it with the rebar. So we actually did it as a floating slab, but the weight of it was sitting on all the
So it depends on the thickness. And
yeah, so we were doing like a 6-inch slab, and then they wanted the deck on top of the slab because they didn't want the deck to move at all, and they didn't want anything breathing underneath. So then we actually did 1.5-inch sleepers, PVC sleepers, every 12-inch on center. They had to be Tapcon into the concrete, and then everything was all fastened to those sleepers for the whole
It's
deck.
intense.
It was a shitload of work. Shitload of work. But I mean, I'm hoping that it still looks exactly the way it was.
But the concrete was sloped?
Sloped.
And the deck as well?
Sloped. He wanted it all to run off to go right to and he wanted it to be at grade. So that was why he chose the concrete instead of doing a substructure because the substructure the joist would never have survived.
No.
I'd be worried about stuff getting in between the deck boards. And
Well, the
concrete.
thing is that the sleepers had openings at the very end, so we left it that way, so there was no skirt board. So basically, you could wash the deck, and it will all just be channels.
drain out.
It just drained right out, right? So there was enough slope that it worked. So,
But even like leaf litter and
yeah, that's the thing is that if it could accumulate over time, something would go.
Right.
But I think that you're dealing with concrete, PVC. You're not dealing with anything that's gonna
Natural
rot.
material, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it should, in theory, last a long time. And his whole idea was I wanted it to be at grade. So it was a lot of work.
I always have a hard time that the lower the deck. If it's ground level deck, I always have a problem with it just because the step has to be within 7 3/4 or whatever it is. So really, if I'm doing a ground level deck and they just want it one step, I have to do 2x6 framing, and 2x6 framing can only span out like 6.5 feet. So I have to
Or flash beam.
Yeah,
flush
flush
beam.
beams.
So I do flush beams, and they're like, "Why is this so expensive?" And then I have to explain to them like all the piers and the
People
flush
don't
beam.
understand that.
And they don't know what flush beam is, I'll tell you that. But it can be done. I've done it. Lots of hangers. But also, I don't like the idea of having like no ventilation underneath it. So they're just tricky, I
A
find.
deck's a living, breathing thing, right? So that's what you just got to kind of educate the clients at that point. It's beyond the point of just the cladding. I think most clients think it's just the finished material, but that finished material is nothing without the substructure, right? And all the work beforehand, right? Okay, I got to ask you guys, why is it, or I don't know if this is a Canadian thing or if it's an American thing or what's the story? Why is it that when clients want decks outside, they want to put curves into everything?
TV.
Dr. Dex.
You
Oh,
said
we
it.
said it at the same time, Dr. Dex.
Yeah.
So why is it that we have to bend everything outside? Because most homes are not all curved.
Because it's cool.
Is it?
Not for me, for the customer.
Is it really cool? Is it kind of cool? Is it inviting? Is it warmer? I find
It's
it
cool until
challenging.
they see the price of it
But it's
and the
challenging
price
for
of curved
furniture.
glass railing around
but,
it.
But furniture layout.
Well, back to a previous question of functionality, right?
Yeah.
Like the moment you're putting curves in, you're limiting some of the functionality. I mean, unless you're so planned out that you've got like a circular sectional or something that needs a circular deck, and it's
Which they do offer it, but for a price tag.
sure,
Right.
yeah. But if you're going to put a rectangular dining table or a couple couches or a sectional, like a round deck doesn't make sense. So it's totally just the cool factor. I mean, we've never done one because we don't have to, because I feel like we've talked some sense into most of our clients. But yeah, just
Functionality in
Yeah.
front of the aesthetic
Yeah.
size, right? So
simple, clean cut.
I guess it's fair to say that's more of an American side of things instead of the Canadian side of things. I just don't
I think
see
it's
a
just
lot of
the
curved
like
decks
the
out
it's
west.
the top of the market where people have $300,000-$400,000 budgets for their deck, and they're just like, give me every possible trick and light show, and that's where I feel that's where you get the curves going on.
Same thing.
Yeah. We got a request for it, but we always talk the customer out of it. I don't think it's smart to do it. I'm not a big fan of it. But that's it. So again, functionality and all the tricks. Like you can make a nice picture frame, nice fascia,
agree.
double picture
I'm
frame.
on the same
Play
page.
around with it, but
I'm on the
keep
same
it
page.
functional.
Have you used thermally modified wood, right?
We have a couple times, yeah.
Okay. Have you used it or just
Once.
Once. Have you guys ever curved it?
No.
No.
So I actually did a curved staircase with it, and all the risers were
With
curved.
steam or with
No,
the
steam failed.
blanket?
Steam failed like a car crash. You
Really?
cannot steam thermally.
the blankets?
No, we curve cut it all.
Oh God.
With a lot of, oh my God. Oh, so just the fascia.
It was
not sideways.
No,
just
and for the actual treads, I used one 5/4 6 board, right? So a 6-inch whatever board, and then we put 3 pieces and we curved those, and then we finished each edge and then put them on, right? So then that's how you got the curved tread. But when it came to the riser, we curve cut everything.
Mm-hmm.
That was
That's
a
loving
lot
what
of
you do
cuts.
right there.
pain in the ass.
a lot of cuts.
Turned out beautiful, but pain
Yeah.
in the ass, right? So because I quickly asked myself, can we steam it? So we built the steam and we put it in. We left it in there for half the day. We took it out, tried to bend it, and it just broke.
Really?
It's already been sucked from all this moisture. There's no
Moisture,
moisture
yeah.
in it, so then
Yeah.
there's nothing for it to be pliable, right? So that failed like a car crash. Which,
Yep.
but it's a learning process, but I was able to still bend it, which was a challenge in itself, right? So
There's another one we've used, Akoya, which is
yeah, I've heard of it.
I don't think it's thermally modified. I think they put it in like an acid bath of some sort, because I believe it's SPF, and then it's essentially this acid chemically modifies it to stabilize it. So
You
it becomes
reactivate it to.
it does something to kind of close its pores, like it chemically changes the wood fibers, so it's completely weather resistant. It doesn't expand or contract, like it stabilizes. It's like you're essentially, the end product is similar to a thermally modified natural wood, but instead of heat, it's a chemical reaction.
Got it. Okay.
that they've done it. So we've used that to build some benches before.
How are you bending Epay?
You don't.
That's the answer I was looking for. I know you don't. If it shows up bent, but it's not going to be bent the way you want it.
Exactly.
You haven't tackled any of that stuff yet, Scott, eh?
I have not.
You'll come across a client.
I'm still trying to figure out if I want to try a herringbone deck design, but I don't know with pressure treated if it's going to be worth it.
I keep looking at that wall there, and I'm talking to Angelina all the time saying I'd like to do a deck floor like that, and I'm like, that'd
I
be
would too.
insane.
I'm just trying to think, like, especially
The amount of blocking
Oh, yeah.
that you need to do in the frame.
On a clip system too,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Have you guys ever collaborated with other contractors in the area? If you had a project that maybe was a little too big, or you want to share the wealth, or whatever the experience, have you guys ever come across that?
From the same field?
Yeah.
I do it a lot with the interlocking, pools.
So you guys are working together to kind of achieve the same goals.
Yeah,
so there's
yeah,
like
definitely.
you handle the deck kind of thing, but you got the interlocking crew coming in, or the pool crew, like you do that.
Well, that's what we do.
Yeah.
We're design build. We're more of a general contractor than anything else.
Yeah.
So we're constantly like most of our jobs, we have anywhere between 2 and 20 trade partners working with us that we manage.
Do you see a lot of the guys wanting to overstep, like they're handling stone for the whole 6 months of the year, and all of a sudden, yeah, give me a piece of wood, I want to start building a deck? No? They stay in there, yeah?
No, because we tend to like plug and play people that are, better, faster than us at any given task. So whether that be a mason, electrician, plumber, roofer, drywaller, painter, whatever it is, we're bringing them in because they're better and faster than us. So it's when we can't find somebody that's better and faster that we will self-perform something. So for us, that's rough carpentry, trim work.
Yep.
And then on the landscape side, it's hardscape. Kind of the meat and potatoes, the middle part is what we're self-performing, but all the specialty stuff where there's people out there that are better and faster than us, and that's who we bring in. So we're constantly collaborating.
Nice. Adam?
Yeah, same idea. Again, all the landscaping, hardscaping as well, stone, turf.
So they'll get a job and they'll talk to the client, and the client
Typically,
wants,
it's I get the job.
or you get, okay.
And I take it, price it, and if I accept it, I just...
You don't want to get into stone?
No. I did it once at my house. It killed my back, man. I don't understand how people doing that.
And the dust and the quick cut.
Gotta be Portuguese.
That's exactly it, huh? Scott, you're waiting for that, or no? You're not going to collaborate, or?
Yeah, I would. I have friends that actually one of my close friends owns a pool company out of Kingston. They do like luxury backyards, so I imagine me and him will meet up at some point.
You guys ever had a challenge or kind of a client that was looking to get some accessibility decking built and ramps and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, working that way, and that's a slightly different set of rules.
There are, especially with the 1 to 12 slope that you need to go,
Yep.
and you need to drop 30 inches. It's like 30 feet to go, so all the curves and all the stuff. But yeah, it's happened. We did it a few times already. Nothing too crazy, but different rules a little bit.
And have you guys done?
Yep.
Yeah, you guys have done that.
Yep. And I think it's a slow, steady increase because of the baby boomer generation. It's, as the population ages, it's getting more and more common. And the baby boomers have money to do these projects too, right? So,
To ensure the stability and security of any given structure, pile caps or support plates are affixed to the top of each pile. Techno Metal Post offers a range of support plate models and sizes to accommodate various dimensions or materials. Additionally, TMP manufactures different helical pile sizes to suit their different project requirements. Smaller piles are designed for lighter projects such as decks and verandas, and larger ones for heavier loads and purposes such as cottages, garages, and buildings. Reach out to them at www.technometalpost.com for your next project. And I think that when you start getting to a certain age at that point, you just want things to be like comfortable,
yep.
right? You don't want, I guess that's going to be a clientele where you want a bunch of different level decks, right? You'll just want things to just naturally transition from one area to another area, right?
Yeah.
And functionality becomes a huge part of it, like you guys mentioned earlier on, right?
Yep. And accessibility is constantly being added to the building code as well.
Yeah.
Slowly and surely.
Educational resources. Where can you guys send clients off to on the web or whatever to kind
Pinterest.
Pinterest?
Yep, 100%.
As an educational resource or as a confusion resource?
Stay away from it.
Okay, all right, you're being facetious. All right, so that makes sense.
I mean, I try not to. I try and be the resource for them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Build the trust first, and then again consolidate the information so that they can have an easier time making decisions. Because you can send them down the rabbit hole, and they're going to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I mean, these people have day jobs. They have kids. They don't have an hour, let alone 10 hours, to do their own research.
Unless they're an engineer.
Unless they're an engineer.
But they'll have days.
Then they're
going
to do it anyways.
Pinterest.
They'll already have
pictures of all kinds of
Yep.
decks that they want to build. Right here, I want like this.
Exactly.
But that's what they're paying us for at the end of the day, right? To be the experience and the resource.
But don't you guys as deck builders want to always try something new and build something new? Or
I do, yeah.
Are you guys always fine with just rebuilding the same thing that you built? Just it's a different backyard now.
Better for business.
Yeah.
I think at the beginning, it was interesting to learn and to try everything. And again, me, myself, at the beginning, I answer all the phone calls, went to all the quotes, build all the decks. I deliver myself all the materials because I didn't want to pay $150 for delivery. And then you need to chase the customer for the payment. So it's been a long process of learning. And I remember the first composite deck I built, I first did the picture frame and then put the boards in. And, you put it, I need another 16th to the saw. You put it, the angle is not good. 5 times for each board.
We've all been there, man. We've all done that same thing.
And you go buy the track saw.
Yeah, that was a game changer a few years back. But yeah, so the same, I'm trying to be the resource for all the information for them, everything in our website. And they have, as soon as my estimator meet them the first time, so they have direct line with me with my cell phone. They can always call me or him and ask any question. If they have questions about materials, after we show them all the samples, I always send them to the store, like a specialty deck store, and not to go to Home Depot, Lowe's, Rona, all of that. And that's it.
So I want to ask all three of you guys, what are the top 3 questions that clients should ask a potential deck builder that they want to hire? And what are the top 3 questions that you as a deck builder should be asking the client regarding a deck that they want you to build?
I think references is very important.
Okay.
For the customer to ask for, to look up in the internet.
I've never had one person ask me for a reference.
Never had?
No,
Not
and I
once.
wish they would.
Because
It's important.
you're more than gladly to offer that, right?
I mean, you could actively provide that.
Yep. They put that word.
Okay, so references?
I love when clients ask, just straight up ask, like, if this was your house, what would you do? Like, in your experience.
It's a dangerous question, isn't it?
Yes and no. I mean, it's not like they're going to just heed your word unfiltered and just do it.
Okay.
But they're asking, they're essentially, it's a leading question asking for, like, in your experience, what is the right way to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no
Yeah.
right way.
That's a good question.
Custom.
It's totally custom, but how do you do things? Like, what's your process? Why do you do it that way?
Yeah.
Because then that leads into the conversation of, well, we use helical piles because they're, not messy. They're not going to, we're not going to have to dig near your tree. There's benefits. They're longer lasting than all these things, right? So yeah, asking for just candid advice on what they should do, I think is a great question for the homeowner to ask.
Anything else?
If I was a homeowner, I would ask, what can you do with my project that would make my project different from any other project, Like what are you going to do that's going to be different?
Is that truly what a client wants?
I don't think so.
They want a different deck than what their neighbor has?
That's what I would want.
I agree with you. That's what I want. I wouldn't want, if I look over my neighbor's fence or whatever and I'm looking down, I'm like, I don't want that, even though they have it. I want something else. Right.
Or similar to that, what differentiates you between
Exactly.
other people I might be getting?
Well, when I
come
see
look
that,
at.
what I see is a standard looking deck. I see a standard.
But you never know what's underneath, right?
Yeah.
If it's 2x6 or 2x8, if it's galvanized hardware or not, if it's 12 on center or 20 on center, if it's
20?
I see 24. I saw a lot of things, but yeah, that's those things the customer never, and they will never know about it unless somebody else pointed out to them.
20 with a composite decking?
And that's another reason why my
Probably
composite,
DIY, right?
the composite price is more because there's more joists in there. Like you had 12-inch center. So it's more joists.
I've always and only ever built my decks on 12-inch center.
Yeah,
I've never done it at 16. I just, whatever.
I've seen it.
Like I
It's
just.
very wavy, especially
I'm
if they don't
doing
plane.
it. I'm doing 16.
You're doing 16s?
Sometimes,
With
yeah.
composite?
With PVC, you're not
PVC, you can get
allowed.
away with
With
16.
composite, you can. PVC, you're not allowed. It's 12 on center.
It's 12 on center, right?
Yeah, but composite
You can
approved
get
by
away-
16.
It'd be
yeah.
fine, yeah? I just find it's a little far for me, but I just, for the extra or whatever the size deck, if it's going to be
Yeah,
5 or
it's
6.
2 or
That's true.
3 more joists.
That's all it
and,
is, right?
yeah.
That's why it is. And I know it's harder and you're securing and you're tighter and you're putting more fasteners on. And
Mhm.
It's a little faster. But I
Yeah, it's
just-
not a big deal. But again, by the book and by everything, it's allowed. Not on stairs. Stairs always 12 on center.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter composite PVC, but it is what it is.
Business growth. As we get closer to the end here, I just want to ask you guys, because I know that Scott, you're growing yours. You guys are frontiers. You guys are establishing, but you're still growing. And then same with you, Adam. You're established, but you're still growing. You're constantly growing. Everybody's growing, right? Mm-hmm. What are some key things that you guys have done that have made you guys grow well in this business?
Tracking your time is
Step back.
huge.
Okay. Step back.
Yeah,
Let somebody else do some of the work.
exactly.
Scott?
It's hard. It's hard. It's
I know
never
it's
easy.
hard.
I
know
think it's the
hard.
hardest thing, and things are never gonna be done your way and the way that you're expecting them. You always need to compromise a bit, and you're gonna lose some money. It's not that you're gonna lose; you're gonna gain it somewhere else. But you're not gonna get the 100% profit that you used to. But it's gonna give you so much more time to think about how to improve other stuff and how to grow. That's number one, in my opinion.
And if you step back to let someone else do something, they might actually have something that you never even thought of. And then you might end up using their little detail that they
Fresh
incorporated.
eyes.
Yeah.
Most likely no. You're doing it the best. You're doing it the best, but you always can teach them and direct them to your direction. And I'm doing it with every employee or subcontractor or first project, 2, 3 projects. You're building with my crew. You see how we build things, because everybody knows to build a deck. But everybody have his own thing. So first of all, learn my way, and then that's my way to do that.
I know with Frontier, Doug, you got started in the outdoor space, right? Mm-hmm. And then Adam, you started in decking, right? Yep. And then you're framing, but then now you're getting into decking. And I want to ask all three of you gentlemen, why the love for decking?
I love the outdoors. I feel comfortable with it. I need my time off in the winter when I used to have it.
Winters are getting shorter, less colder or less wetter days. So you can work through the winter now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're getting tougher, so.
Hey.
Scott?
My background is like framer. So doing decks is just, it's so easy for me the frame of the deck is so easy for me because I'm so versed in framing. That's probably why I like them the most. I don't know. That's just a simple answer. I don't have to think too much, I feel.
Does it bring us right back to just being outside and enjoying?
Yeah, like our carpenters, after they've been inside doing renos all winter, they're like, oh, yes, a deck. I can be outside, get some sun, right? They cut the sleeves off their shirts. Yeah. As far as outdoor work, because we do it all, like compared to laying interlock or something, like a deck is very enjoyable to work on. So I think it's the fact that it's like a prominent feature. They look really cool. It's not hugely hard on your body to be a deck builder. There's an element of, precision and craftsmanship that goes along with it. It just kind of checks a lot of those boxes, I think.
I mean, I still think it's fine finished carpentry.
Totally it is.
Everything that you do, every cut that you make is visible.
Especially when you're in the PVCs and composites.
Yeah.
And you need to take in consideration the heat and the weather and when you cut it, and it's a lot of things. Yeah. But it's fun. I love it, especially if the deck is about 3 feet high, so you can work comfortably. Great.
What are you guys doing to build relationships with your suppliers and to build your business in the same time? Like, how are you guys nurturing that?
Grab breakfast, grab a coffee, stay connected, chat,
send them a message.
Yep.
Let them know about current project, finished project, things like that.
Yeah. Buying more and more material from them. They love it.
It all goes back to building relationships and marketing and stuff like that, because that's what you guys are still doing. Every time you guys build a deck, you guys are marketing yourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how it is, right?
I'm a tough one in that I drive them crazy.
Why?
I don't like the 9 to 5. I'm not a big believer in it.
Oh, so when you're trying to reach and communicate with them, they're zoning
Call them
out.
10 o'clock. I need a delivery tomorrow, 9 a.m.
And the number you reached is not in service. Is that what
Oh,
you're
it's
getting?
over. You want me to text him now? I can call him now.
No. He'll get upset at me. That's why I don't want to know. You guys ever build decks combining materials? You guys ever get a client that wants to go composite or PVC and wood, or do
just to save on cost? I think like Some people want to do the skirt that facing 2 feet away from the fence. Sorry, 4 feet. 2 feet is not to code, but when it's fencing the fence and they don't want to spend that money on the PVC, so.
Well, you got privacy walls, or sometimes that you can't really build them out of composite or man-made materials. You got to build them out of wood materials, right?
Glass,
We've done
aluminum.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the horizontal surface, the surface, the deck is say PVC, and then a privacy wall might be like rough cut timbers or steel. Or
Exactly. You haven't come across
I've mixed railing, and it turned out great, like glass and then wood and steel balusters.
How are you guys handling safety? Because I mean, I know, but I'm just saying that and I do respect you guys that it's true that there's an envy factor when it comes to deck building. You're outside, beautiful sunny day, you're enjoying the elements, you're hearing birds chirping, you can just enjoy yourself. But we still have to factor in safety, right? So you're still working on things, and then there's still risks here and there. I wouldn't say the MOL is going to show up and all of a sudden ask you to tie off somewhere because you're building a deck that's over 2 feet high, right? I mean, like, technically speaking, you're supposed to, like, I'm just saying. So how you guys are communicating with the crews, I guess, to just have that little bit of a safety conversation saying, listen, let's just all be careful. We're handling tools. We're handling material, long lengths of material. We're still handling pretty big power tools.
Yeah, I mean, we're big enough that we have to kind of do our basic due diligence on safety. So every Monday morning we have a tailgate chat or toolbox chat.
Nice.
So we just have a giant folder of safety talks where we just pull it out and read it. Everybody signs off on it. And then the other day at the shop, we went through, tying down equipment on a trailer and the basics of power tool safety. It took 20 minutes. So just like checking those boxes and making sure that guys have like the common sense bare minimums. I think that's where you start for sure.
Scott, you're pretty.
Cover myself, yeah.
You're basically talking to yourself.
Yeah, I'm safe. I even got rebar caps.
Good for you, man.
The Tim Hortons cup didn't work.
No. Good for you that you're doing that. I think we covered everything, guys. Is there anything that we may have missed that you guys want to share? Any future deck builders out there that might be listening, or someone that's interested in learning a little bit more about this particular industry? And I think a lot of trades are envious of you guys because you guys get to do interesting work outside in the nice months of the year. I guess they're not that envious in the winter months.
Always fun to work with your hands.
Yeah.
I just think the little things make the biggest difference for everything I do. But like, again, because it's just wood that I'm dealing with. I just make sure, I don't know about you guys, but like I plane my joists or I grade them so that they're flat. And I just don't see anyone in my area taking the time to plane their joists.
In the back of your head, are you thinking that I'm not making money as a result of doing this, or that's not a factor at that point?
I love what I do a little. This is one of the things that I'm just like, it's non-negotiable.
Okay.
Planer's coming out. It just sucks because it's a mess. And then you got to treat
Cut
it.
and seal.
Yeah, and you got that. But I don't know.
But it's peace of mind for you
Planer
knowing that
joists.
when you put the deck on, it's
like
smooth.
and by little things like I sand all my cuts, make sure that the grain so you guys are covering with the composite and PVC, but and waterproof taping. Yeah, I'm like a lot of my stuff's like a lot more exposed, so I have to really make sure that all my cuts are sealed and stuff. Most people in my area that are doing pressure treat, I don't even think they're sealing their cuts, to be honest with you, because I see their finished photos and they're still like white. They're off cuts.
Do you shoot your level on every deck framing?
If it's small, only if it's small, I got a Stabila, yeah. I planed my 1,200 square foot deck. All got planed. I grabbed my 10-foot track saw and I slid it down the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm crazy. I'm not saying that that's necessary on every deck, but that's just something that I do.
But that's going to be something that you're going to teach whoever you bring on board. That's going to be a part of the process.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's one thing. You always have to teach 120%. They're going to absorb 90% of what you teach, and that's where you need to settle down.
Well, if it's 90 from 120, then it would be 70 or 60. So then you're actually getting closer to 100 than further away from 100. Yeah. It's actually a good model. That kind of makes sense. And
he's at a good point to start. He's at 140%.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. This has been great. Thank you so much, Doug, for coming back and sharing a lot more, man, about this.
Yeah, no sweat.
I was looking forward to this. So again, Doug Taylor from Frontiers Design Build, www.frontiersdesignbuild.com, info@frontiersdesignbuild.com, and also on Instagram, frontiers_design build. I got Adam right here, Royal Innovation. Where's the name come from?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
In the next podcast.
Tell me off mic. www.royalinnovation.ca, info@royalinnovation.ca, and you're booking for 2024. You guys are booking for 2024 now, right? You're not booking for this
No,
year.
we got some room this year.
You got some room this
Yep.
year? You got some
Yeah,
room
we
as
do.
well? You got some room, Scott?
Oh, yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go. So everyone's got room. And then also on Instagram, it's just look up Royal. We don't know exactly, but it's look up Royal. And then Scott Sauvé Construction. And it's also www.sauvécreates.com. And his email is scott@sauvécreates.com. Facebook is Sauvé Creates FB. And then on Instagram is Sauvé Creates. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I always say that these things are all going to be about the community. It's not about competition, and that's basically what the construction life's all about, right?
100%.
So I love that you guys are, and other people, and there's other shows that I'm booking as well with other trades. Eventually, the electricians have been pissing me off and saying that they want to get on the show and do it, but I think we'll get every trade, and we'll have more than one show, and more people are going to share, and it's not going to be about competition. It's about community, and everyone just sharing great ideas
Yep.
about building better. That's all it is. So I thank
Great.
you all three. Thank you very much, and I thank Roger and thank him for the maple syrup, and I'm going to enjoy that on one or two French shows that I do. But yeah, everyone knows that I'm a huge fan of Techno Metal Post, and everyone, and you got to
I will
try it.
be.
You got to try it one day, Scott. I guarantee you won't go back. So it's perfect. So thank you guys. Angelina, we're out of here.